Mecha battle starting from Gundam. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 894 The Prototype of Talent. This is the distribution of the gravitational field, the density, the power. All the data of the surrounding environment began to be calculated rapidly again, and a more and more complete map became clearer and clearer in Yang Hui's mind. But at this moment, the alarm in the cockpit interrupted Yang Hui's calculations. In the few seconds when he was stunned, the Eternal Freedom Gundam and the Immortal Justice Gundam had caught up. The electromagnetic cannon on the waist of the Eternal Freedom Gundam and the rifle in his hand that switched to live ammunition fired at the same time, suppressing the Dawn Gundam with firepower. The Immortal Justice Gundam drove the Eternal Freedom Gundam to cover the high-speed assault and rushed straight towards the Dawn Gundam. How can it be so fast? Oh my, you are worthy of it. Yang Hui was also amazed at the speed of the Immortal Justice Gundam. It was too fast. Yang Hui didn't dare to try it easily. But soon, he understood the reason. It was not that Aslan had mastered the laws of the surrounding gravitational field, but that the firepower tilt of the Eternal Freedom Gundam established a stable channel for the Immortal Justice Gundam. Ding! The Immortal Justice Gundam and the Dawn Gundam collided violently, and the intersection of the sharp blades collided with fierce sparks. You are really amazing, Aslan. Yang Hui gritted his teeth and pushed the joystick with both hands. The huge thrust from behind the Dawn Gundam prevented it from being knocked out by the Immortal Justice Gundam. When facing you, of course I have to come up with something, Yang Hui. Great. It's very rare to see you so hot. Dawn Gundam once again used the force discharging technique it had used against the G-Titan before, intending to remove all the power of the Immortal Justice Gundam, making the Immortal Justice Gundam lose its balance, and then take it down in one fell swoop. But Aslan is not Volif, and he is not alone. Just when the Immortal Justice Gundam tilted and missed the side of the Dawn Gundam, and the sword in the Dawn Gundam was about to stab straight down, the Eternal Freedom Gundam also rushed up and drew its sword to block the sword that was about to fall. It's not over yet. One sword was blocked, and the Dawn Gundam had another one, stabbing at the Immortal Justice Gundam's cockpit from a completely opposite angle, but the Immortal Justice Gundam immediately turned around and raised its legs, its calves covered by laser blades, and a roundhouse kick hit the blade, kicking the Dawn Gundam out. The Dawn Gundam that flew out was attracted by the strong gravitational field, and the body was uncontrollably crashed into a huge meteorite. The speed was getting faster and faster, and the Dawn Gundam had not yet adjusted its balance. If it hit the meteorite, it would definitely cause damage. Although Yang Hui's current opponents were Kira and Athern, Yuling and Sima were still under siege, and there was also Gram and Char who were not sure if they had come back from the chaotic gravitational field. No matter who counted, they were not opponents that could be underestimated. At this moment, time slowed down again, and Yang Hui began to calculate. Correction of angle, correction of output, failed, recalculation, correction of error, failed, error correction, success. After many calculations, the flow of time returned to normal. Yang Hui immediately began to adjust the posture of the Dawnbreaker according to the calculation results in his brain. The Dawnbreaker, which had originally landed on its back, stepped firmly on the surface of the meteorite with both feet. This. Kira and Aslan did not pursue, and their brows were furrowed, because the previous attack was already calculated by them, and in their calculations, even Yang Hui could not adjust the posture of the Dawnbreaker in such a short time, thus avoiding all damage. Could it be Kira? Well, go ahead. Kira and Aslan guessed something, but did not hold back at all, instead launched a more fierce attack, and Yang Hui also recalled the feeling just now while fighting, trying to find the law and method to enter the state just now. On the other side, Yuling and Sima were also in a huge disadvantage under the siege. The defense of Wildhorn was breached, and Luna Gundam had discarded its damaged long-range sniper rifle, and could only shoot with a rifle of Gundam Age 2+ that it had picked up. At this time, Wildhorn also threw away its tattered shield, and the heavy armor was also removed from its body. The fragile Luna Gundam and Wildhorn could only drift like a small boat in the stormy attack. But Flit and others did not pay any price to force Yulin and Sima into the current situation. There were obviously fewer people besieging them, including Lala Singh, Neil, and Aleluja, who were all sent away by Yulin. Gundam Age 1 Plus lost its left arm and left leg, the two balance wings behind the cabinet Mk5 that stored the floating guns were gone, and the GN rocket launcher of the Healing Angel was gone. Yulin, the commander. We can't support him, he's being held back by Kira and Atheron. Then be careful. A turquoise light circle lit up behind the Luna Gundam, and Gundam, ELS, rushed out from inside, with the tip of the sword pointing directly at the back of Luna Gundam. Wildhorn made a quick decision and pushed Luna Gundam away, causing himself to be stabbed in the right shoulder by a sword. Gundam, ELS, did not hesitate at all, and headed towards the lower left, trying to cut Wildhorn in half, but at this time, Seema also took out her unique ruthlessness, and immediately pulled out the physical sword with her left hand to block the cutting blade, slowing down the speed of her being cut off, and at the same time, with difficulty, raised the rifle with her right hand and pressed it against the abdomen of Gundam, ELS. Let's go together. Bang 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 bang. Swish. The sharp blade split the wild horse in two, and at the same time countless armor-piercing bullets penetrated the force field of Gundam, ELS, blasting a big hole in the chest. The lights in the cockpit dimmed, and Seema felt relieved, because she also took away the Gundam, ELS, which was the most threatening, before leaving. In such an environment, the quantum leap system of Gundam, ELS, is simply unreasonable. The remaining Yulin took a look at the position where Seema was eliminated and immediately retracted her gaze, locking on the relatively intact Hell Angel not far away. It's targeting me. Damn. Crazy. Lyle saw the Luna Gundam rushing straight towards him like a desperate person, and his soul was scared. He raised his gun and wanted to push the Luna Gundam back. One chasing and one fleeing, the Luna Gundam didn't care about the attack on its body at all, but just wanted to take away the threat of the Hell Angel, at least, to destroy its arms. One is willing to die, the other cherishes his life. The ending of the Hell Angel is obvious. Before the Luna Gundam completely lost its mobility, its left arm was accidentally shot, and a semicircular hole was left on its right shoulder. Is it really crazy? At this time, Yulin had lost her ability to fight, so everyone did not regard it as a threat. They stepped forward and surrounded the Luna Gundam in the center to care about Yulin's situation. As the most powerful sniper, Yulin was also known for her calmness and rationality, but she had never been so crazy. After all, it is certain that we will be eliminated. We have to eliminate more threats for Yang Hui, Yulin said calmly. Although at this time, the Luna Gundam still has the last weapon, which is also the most powerful weapon. With a distance between the others and her at this time, if she uses it, she can take away at least half of the people. But she doesn't know how to use it. It was originally a simulated battle, not an enemy. That's why everyone gathered here. It would be unethical to use it. This is not her character. As expected of you. Everyone smiled bitterly. Yulin is really. Only Yang Hui can make her crazy. Okay, I'm going out first. It depends on your performance later. Yulin smiled calmly and left the simulated battle. But the people who stayed behind had dark faces, because they understood that Yulin didn't mean to see their wonderful performance, but to see how Yang Hui would avenge them. Ding ding ding. Here it comes. This speed. How is it possible? Chapter 895, Brutal Simulation Battle. On everyone's radar detection system, and also in their naked eyesight, the Dawn Gundam was approaching them at an incredible speed, and it was getting faster and faster. At the current speed, it would soon reach the highest speed in an ordinary environment. This was something they could not imagine, and from the trajectory of the Dawn Gundam, there was no sign of losing control. You have to know that Graham and Char were in such a miserable state at the beginning, this was almost impossible to achieve. But now, Yang Hui did it. Something is wrong. What has changed about him? Everyone knew that Yang Hui could not do this easily. Something must have happened that they did not know. Otherwise Yang Hui would be able to maintain this state and beat all of them at the beginning of the simulation battle. Don't think about it for now. He's coming. The state of the Dawn Gundam was not intact at this time. A piece of its wings was lost, one of its main weapons was missing, and one of its legs was removed, but Yang Hui's expression was still as calm as water, and the flame of excitement was still burning in his eyes. Error correction, error correction, error correction. The body has always maintained control of the body, maintained high speed and efficient operation, and shuttled through the chaotic gravitational field according to the calculation results obtained by the high-speed operation of the brain. Not enough. I need to go faster. Faster. Tisk. Yang Hui kept speeding up the calculations in his brain, but the urgent alarm in the cockpit interrupted his calculations again, and he returned to the normal flow of time. Not good enough yet. I feel like I found it, but the speed is still too slow, and it's too easy to be interrupted. Yang Hui thought while dealing with the attacks of the crowd. Ha ha ha. I'm finally back. Yang Hui. Did you miss me? You should kneel down this time. Yang Hui. To make matters worse, the situation developed in the worst direction. The Flag Gundam and Sazabi, who were pulled to some unknown place by the chaotic gravitational field, also dragged their broken bodies to join the battle. Then I'll send you away first. Dawn Gundam kept moving its position, dodging the suppressing shots of the crowd one by one, and at the same time kicked the Demon Angel Gundam that was passing by and trying to disrupt it, and raised its hand to shoot the broken Hell Angel Gundam that was trying to hide behind people and shoot coldly with 2 shots, and immediately changed its gun into a sword and rushed to meet the Flag Gundam that was galloping behind it. You underestimate us too much, don't you, Yang Hui? As Graham roared, the thrusters behind the Flag Gundam burst into flames, pushing the Dawn Gundam to move backwards. Opportunity. Sazabi seized the opportunity of the stalemate between the Flag Gundam and the Dawn Gundam, went around to the side of the Dawn Gundam, popped out the rocket launcher component on the shield and connected it with a large beam rifle in his hand, and a rocket was fired out, exploding on the only remaining wing of the Dawn Gundam, which was shattered. At the same time, the others also surrounded him and locked their guns on the Dawn Gundam. Graham, get out of the way. Understood. Graham grinned and was about to withdraw his power and retreat, leaving Yang Hui completely exposed to the artillery of his companions, but as soon as he pulled the joystick back, Graham's face changed. The Dawn Gundam did not retreat but advanced, and took the initiative to rush in front of the Flag Gundam, not letting the Flag Gundam distance itself from him. Damn it. Leave me alone. Fire. Graham knew that Yang Hui was planning to keep fighting him in close combat to make others afraid to act rashly. In order to kill Yang Hui, Graham also became ruthless and told his companions not to worry about him. At worst, they would be killed together with Yang Hui. There was only a second of hesitation. The planes surrounding the Dawn Gundam and Flag Gundam opened fire. The dense ammunition covered the Dawn Gundam and Flag Gundam like a big net. However, at this moment, the Dawn Gundam did something that everyone dared not think of. The Dawn Gundam hugged the Flag Gundam around the waist, and the thrusters behind it blazed. It used the Flag Gundam as a shield and rushed forward against the artillery fire in front of it. Don't even think about it. Graham immediately understood Yang Hui's plan and planned to push the control lever to the bottom, and also burst into full power to keep the Dawn Gundam in place. Unfortunately, when Yang Hui made the decision, he had already anticipated Graham's plan. At the moment when he hugged the Flag Gundam around the waist, the Dawn Gundam's sharp sword pierced the Flag Gundam's thruster behind it, rendering it useless. Tisk, I still lost. Noticing that the thruster had been destroyed by the Dawn Gundam, Graham knew his result. He had already released the control lever with both hands and sat back on the chair with his head in his arms. The next second, the alarm sounded in the cockpit, and the dense artillery fire blasted the Flag Gundam into pieces, and the light dimmed. Dawn Gundam used Flag Gundam as a shield and rushed to the location of the Kabini MKV. With the help of the fire and smoke caused by the explosion of Flag Gundam, it interfered with Harmon's sight in a very short time. It was at this opportunity that Dawn Gundam rushed out of the smoke and passed in front of the Kabini MKV. Damn it. Don't even think about it. Sazabi, who was right next to the Kabini MKV, immediately started to rescue it. Unexpectedly, the Dawn Gundam didn't even look at it. It threw the sharp blade in its hand and accurately pierced Sazabi's chest. Then, it inserted its palm into the gap between the head and the body in the shape of a knife, and then clenched its fist and pulled it hard, pulling the entire head and the line pipe out. The head Vulcan cannon fired, and the metal storm went straight from the hole in the head to the body of the Kabini MKV. It kicked its feet and left with the help of the reaction force. The Kabini MKV exploded violently. But at this time, the ammunition of the Vulcan cannon was emptied, and the Dawn Gundam also lost all its weapons and all its combat effectiveness. It's over. The survivors, Flit, Char, Cruz and others, looked at the Dawn Gundam that had lost its ability to move, and did not attack again. The simulated battle had reached this point, and there was no need to fight anymore. Everyone exited the simulation battle and left the simulation chamber, but found that Yang Hui's simulation chamber had not been open for a long time. They were all shocked and ran over to start the emergency opening procedure from the outside. As the simulation chamber opened, they saw Yang Hui, who was pale, slumped in the seat. Sweat had condensed into a small puddle under the seat, but he had an excited smile on his face. What's going on? What happened? Everyone was also scared and quickly helped Yang Hui out of the simulation chamber and called for medical staff. No one expected that Yang Hui would be so weak after just a simulation battle. It's okay. I'm just too tired, and my brain is a little overloaded. Yang Hui replied weakly. Brain overload? Could it be you? Yet, in the shocked and expectant eyes of everyone, Yang Hui nodded slightly. My talent seems to be about to awaken. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 896, An Opportunity Not to be Missed. At this time, Yang Hui was lying on the luxurious bed in his bedroom. The women surrounded the bed and looked at Yang Hui worriedly. Behind them were Graham, Fleet, Cruz, Char, Kira, Aslan and other ace pilots. They all put down everything in their hands and waited quietly for Yang Hui to wake up. I say you, go and do your own things. We will notify you when he wakes up. Wong said to the people behind him with a depressed look. This is not anxious. Everyone laughed awkwardly. Who made Yang Hui only say half of the words before he fell into coma, and it was what they were most concerned about at the moment. Most of the top aces of the Promise Corps have found their own path, and have a preliminary feeling of their talent and determination, but it is just vague and can't grasp that wisp of ethereal feeling, so they have been stimulating themselves under high pressure, hoping to enter that state again, so that their feelings can be clearer, and thus find the right way to enter that state. But, at the Promise Fortress, the continuous high-pressure battles had little effect. Everyone would enter a strange but different state from time to time, and it was completely random, which made them very anxious. Now, Yang Hui is about to become the first person to awaken his talent. With a paving of the way by the predecessors, they naturally hoped to gain some experience. Yang Hui's eyelids trembled slightly in a coma, and he gradually woke up, but as soon as he opened his eyes, he saw countless heads crowding his sight, and he almost jumped up in fright. Don't you know it's scary? After resting for a few minutes and recovering some energy, Yang Hui sat on the bed and said to everyone depressedly. Everyone was embarrassed again, but there was nothing they could do. Nothing could stop their determination to become stronger. Tell me, what do you mean by awakening your talent? Fleet asked Yang Hui. Hearing this, Yang Hui sighed and guessed that they had been waiting here to ask about this matter. If he had known that, he should not have shared his joy with them before he fell into coma. Then, Yang Hui told everyone in detail about his breakthrough in the simulated battle, his thoughts on his talent, and his feelings during the battle. It seems that your talent is related to calculation. Cruz said. No, I think it's more like accelerated thinking. Fleet expressed a different opinion. In this case, it makes sense. Kira and Aslan felt the most deeply because Yang Hui had adjusted the posture of the Dawn Gundam at an unnatural speed before to avoid damage. You also rely on this to move stably at high speed in the chaotic gravitational field? Graham asked. Yes. Yang Hui nodded and admitted, during that period, I was always in that state of high-speed calculation. According to the data fed back by the detection system, I calculated the best route to cross the chaotic gravitational field, and made data corrections in real time according to the changes in the gravitational field, and then fed back to the operation. You are really crazy. Everyone scolded Yang Hui at the same time. They all understood the principle, but it was precisely because they all understood that they thought Yang Hui was a lunatic. Do you really think your brain is a Veda? Do you want to burn it? With that amount of calculations, you still use it frequently. It's a miracle that you didn't die of brain death. Do you really think that the pure-blooded Transformers and NT are invincible? No matter how strong the mental wave is, you can't use it like this. Yang Hui was ashamed. Facing the criticism from everyone, he really couldn't say anything. Knowing that everyone was concerned about him, he felt warm in his heart. Okay, everyone, be quiet. Yulin, who is always gentle, spoke, and everyone had to be quiet. The gentler the person, the more terrifying they were when they got angry. But this is my path, I can't help it. Yang Hui was actually helpless. This was the path he should take. Even if he knew it was dangerous, he had to insist on going on, and Mephis's explanation was very clear. The promotion from B level to A level was the improvement of the essence of life. If the improvement of the essence of life was not dangerous, it would be abnormal. Then you should have a good rest, just don't burn your brain. Everyone also understood Yang Hui's meaning. It was impossible to persuade Yang Hui to give up this path of promotion. They could only ask him not to waste himself, and then they left. They were not idle people. If they were not waiting for the news of the awakening of the talent, they would not waste time here. Let's go too. After confirming that Yang Hui had woken up and nothing happened, Wang and others also had to leave. Although they wanted to stay and accompany Yang Hui to recuperate, they knew the priorities. For example, no one could replace Wang Liumai's work. Moreover, so many people staying here together would not be taking care of the patient, but having a tea party, so everyone unanimously decided that Yulin, Sima, Cornelia and Cece would stay to take care of him. Really, you are still so troublesome. Cornelia lectured Yang Hui lying on the bed in a bad mood. There is really no way. Now the strength of the Promise Corps has reached a bottleneck. The enemies we will face in the future will become stronger and stronger. It is not enough to just supplement with technology. Facing the threat of Vajra this time, the top leaders of the Promise Corps also realized that just strengthening technology can no longer meet their needs, and the T0 players at the top of the pyramid have not improved their abilities for a long time. This is a very important opportunity. As the commander of the Promise Fortress and the commander-in-chief of the Promise Corps, Yang Hui must not miss this opportunity. So you should have a good rest, my Lord Demon. If you are gone, the witch will be homeless again. Cece teased with a smile. Then take your hair away. Yang Hui smiled bitterly. This witch, while persuading herself to have a good rest, teased her nose with the ends of her hair. How can she have a good rest? On the other side, Lux returned to the hotel and was wondering why Shirley didn't greet her or ask about Yang Hui's condition, when she saw Shirley writing furiously. Seeing this, Lux smiled knowingly and didn't disturb Shirley, but quietly brewed a pot of black tea and waited. It was not until more than 10 minutes later that Shirley finally finished her creation. Looking at her new work, she nodded with satisfaction. It's me. Lux. You're back. Shirley suddenly saw Lux sitting next to her and asked in surprise. Yes. Then. He's fine, he just overworked his brain. He'll be fine after a rest. Sister Yulin, Sima, Cornelia and Cece are taking care of him. Who cares about him? Shirley denied arrogantly. Really? Shirley walked towards Shirley with a playful smile on her face. She remembered very clearly that when Lux received the call and heard that Yang Hui was unconscious, Shirley was in a state of panic. Of course. Shirley turned her head away proudly. She was the queen, so she wouldn't take the initiative to care about that man. Humph. Absolutely not. Okay. Lux smiled and didn't expose Shirley again. Instead, she focused on the manuscript in Shirley's hand, new song. Well, come and take a look. This is the inspiration I found from that simulated battle. Chapter 897 Miss Macro's Contest. After a few days of rest, under the careful care of Yulin, Sima, Cornelia and Cece, Yang Hui soon recovered to his original state and returned to his work, but at the cost. Can't you control it? Cornelia complained unhappily, her face flushed. Alice, my Lord Demon, witches are not used like this. Cece sighed, lamenting that she seemed to have made a wrong choice. Yulin and Sima didn't say anything, but from their rosy and shiny faces, their limping walking posture, and their weak steps, it can be seen that they are the same as Cornelia and Cece. Who told you to be so charming? Yang Hui shrugged shamelessly, not ashamed but proud. Well, this is the greatest honor for a man. Humph. Don't think I will forgive you if you say something nice. This is really not Cornelia's arrogance, but she is really a little angry. After all, she almost died. Isn't this to let you guys have a good rest for a few days? I'll accompany you to watch Miss Macross's talent show. Yang Hui had no choice. He was not allowed to do anything while lying in bed, and he was not even allowed to touch the pad, lest he not rest well and remotely control other work. Yang Hui, who was already idle while lying in bed, could only play with birds. Of course, Yang Hui still had self-awareness and knew that he had been a little too much these days, so he agreed to accompany them to watch Miss Macross's talent show. Although they had no interest in this kind of talent show, the 25th Fleet was so small that they had been to all the places they should visit and play, and only Miss Macross's talent show was a little novel. And they were also a little interested in the birth of the third singer. Are Shirley and Lux the judges? CC asked Yang Hui as he looked at Shirley and Lux, who slowly walked to the judge's seat and sat down. Yes. Yang Hui nodded. Although Lux was just a rising star, her status in the singer circle was no less than Shirley Lu. In addition, as the wife of the commander-in-chief of the entire army, it was no problem for her to sit on the judge's bench with Shirley Lu. Isn't that the first place? Cornelia smiled casually. Although she had never met Li Lanhui or Shirley Lu, she knew that Lux and Shirley Lu were very optimistic about Li Lanhui. Even Wang Liumei, Yang Hui, Katie and other people who had met Li Lanhui were very optimistic about her. That's impossible. Yang Hui laughed and shook his head. Will you show mercy to enemies you know on the battlefield? No. Cornelia shook her head without hesitation. The same goes for them. The stage is their battlefield. Yang Hui said to Cornelia. Okay, I understand. If it was the former Cornelia, she would sneer at this statement. She only had the battlefield in her eyes. Everything on the battlefield must abide by the iron-blooded discipline. As for other things, what qualifications do they have to be compared with a battlefield? But after arriving at Promise Fortress, she was gradually influenced by others, especially Yang Hui, and looked at everything happening around her with a more tolerant and broad perspective. This time, when Shirley and Lux encouraged Li Lanhui to participate in the Miss Macross talent show, they never thought that Li Lanhui could win the final victory, nor did they go for this purpose. They all knew that Li Lanhui was a complete rookie. Even if Lux and Shirley gave her special training after transferring to Mixing Academy, she could not compare with other contestants. Most of the contestants who participated in the Miss Macross talent show, except for a few who suddenly wanted to participate like Li Lanhui, or a few who participated with a playful mentality, had prepared for this competition for a long time. The most important performance is one aspect, and the same goes for body shape, makeup, stage appeal, etc. The preparations they made for this competition could not be caught up with a short period of special training. Therefore, the reason why Shirley and Lux encouraged Li Lanhui to participate was just to hope that she could muster up the courage to jump out of her comfort zone and take the first step in pursuing her ideal. As for after losing the competition, they have heard Li Lanhui's singing. It is very outstanding. There will definitely be someone who values her and signs her, even if it is just an unknown small company. Li Lanhui also has her own persistence and pride. It is more meaningful to start from the bottom and work her way up step by step. If there is no one, it doesn't matter. Shirley may not have such connections in the 25th Fleet, but Lux and Yang Hui do. Just find a clean agency, or send someone to open one yourself. The main purpose is to help Li Lanhui complete the process from 0 to 1. That is. In the VIP seat, Yang Hui found Art, Michael, Luca and Matsura Nanish squeezed in the crowd, and raised his mouth and gave a few instructions to the guards outside the door. I'm really looking forward to Li Lanhui's stage. Shirley, who was sitting in the judge's seat, whispered to Lux. That girl is still working hard, but I'm worried that she might be stage fright. Lux gave the most fair evaluation. She has been with Li Lanhui for a while, so she knows Li Lanhui's situation much better than Shirley. Her natural singing voice is better than many people's. With her talent and hard work, she quickly absorbed what Lux taught her. If it was just singing, Li Lanhui would undoubtedly have the qualifications to win, but this stage competition is not just about singing. And Li Lanhui's biggest problem is stage fright. She can't confidently perform on the stage in front of so many people. As long as she dares to stand on this stage and sing, it's progress. Shirley said with a smile. Well, after all, that person is watching from the audience. That person? Are you talking about Sayoto Mart? Is he here too? Yes, Michael, Luca, and Nanish are all here. I saw them when I entered the venue just now. They are all here? aren't they? Shirley was surprised. After watching the mock battle, Art, Michael, and Luca immediately asked for leave from school and returned to the military base. It seemed that they were very excited. Well, although Shirley, a super novice who was just interested in it, didn't see how many mysterious things there were. Ahem, back to the topic, they shouldn't have time to watch the Macros Miss Talent show now. But on second thought, they are all good friends of Lee Lan-Hui, and Art also has a good impression of Lee Lan-Hui. Lee Lan-Hui's first performance on stage must be supported. Youth is really young. Lux covered her mouth and chuckled. Shirley looked at Lux speechlessly, complaining that although she was already married, she was still in her 20s, the peak of her youth, right? Chapter 898 sounds great, keep it up. In the VIP seats, Art, Michael, Luca and Nanish Matsura, who were suddenly called up, were also confused. They did not affect who in their social circle was qualified to sit in such a luxurious VIP seat. It was not until they saw Yang Hui that they understood. Commander. Art, Michael and Luca did not care about Nanish Matsura's presence and saluted Yang Hui directly. Sit down, watch together. Yes. Even the most impulsive Art was a good baby in front of Yang Hui at this time. Not only in front of Yang Hui, but also in front of the top trump cards of Promise Fortress, he was also well behaved. He did not have the previous idea that if I gave him time, I would definitely surpass them. There was no way. That simulated battle was too scary, especially for a newbie like him. In such a complex environment, Art substituted himself in. Not to mention fighting, he might not even dare to move normally, for fear that he would be pulled in by the chaotic gravitational field around him and perform the lucky bounce show on the spot. Especially later, Yang Hui shuttled freely in the chaotic gravitational field as if he was in an empty space, and his decisiveness and ruthlessness made him tremble with fear. Michael was frightened by Yulin's gun mounting. He now likes to mount the gun and sniper the most, because his sniping level can only guarantee accuracy when he mounts the gun. Then, seeing Yulin's Luna Gundam, Neil's Angel Destroying Gundam, Lyle's Hull Angel Gundam and other masters accurately sniping targets at high speed, he once thought that he was still at the level of a primary school student who needed to mount the gun, and the masters simply disdained such low-level skills as gun mounting. However, Yulin's gun mounting completely amazed him. It turned out that it was not that they disdained to mount the gun, but that they disdained to mount the gun on the opponents they had met so far. Although Luca was an electronic warfare expert, he was also learning basic operations and combat skills. The fighting style of each top ace was different, and the foundation was very solid. Every action was as standard as a textbook, and every skill was as smooth as if it was engraved in his bones, which made him have to admire. Don't be so nervous. It's not wartime now, and you didn't make any mistakes. Yang Hui waved his hand, asking them not to be so nervous. After all, it was their vacation time, and it was their own initiative to ask for leave to return to the base to participate in training. Yes. Oh, forget it. Yang Hui also saw that the three children were scared. Art and the others knew Yang Hui a little bit. Seeing that the people sitting next to Yang Hui were all women, they also knew that Yulin and the others were also Yang Hui's wives, so they were very sensible and sat alone on the sofa on the other side. They didn't dare to speak, but just watched the Miss Macros competition quietly, or listened to Yang Hui and the others' comments on the contestants one by one. Until Lee Lan-Hui appeared. Compared with the charm and sexiness of other contestants, Lee Lan-Hui became the only lovely and tender White Lotus on the stage, bringing a different style to the stage. I'm still too nervous. Yang Hui smiled and shook his head, but it's no wonder, it's the first time on stage, it's inevitable to be nervous. Were you nervous the first time on the battlefield? Cornelia complained unhappily. She was not talking about the first battle in Lelouch's world where he helped her win the African theater, but the battle she heard from Sergei and the Emperor. The first time she went on the battlefield, she participated in the Battle of the Heavenly Pillars, in the U-World and won a miraculous victory. That was Yang Hui's first battle in the true sense. That's your fault, Cornelia. CC teased on the side, not everyone can compare with him. Tisk. The process of the competition was relatively smooth, until it came to the fourth stage, which was the performance program. The other programs, to be honest, they were just so-so, with standard performances, either singing and dancing, or one-person stage plays, but none of them were too eye-catching, and, sure enough, not everyone can be a singer. Yang Hui said, and Yulin, Sima, Cornelia and Cece also nodded in agreement. They came to watch the Miss Macro's talent show, not only to relax, but also to see if there were any other overlooked singers in the 25th Fleet. As it turned out, there weren't any. It wasn't until Li Lanhu came on stage and began to sing nervously that they felt a different but very similar special power surging from their bodies. It's still amazing. It wasn't the first time they felt the power of singing, but they also felt that this feeling was very amazing. It's different from Shirley and Lux, not so fiery, not so calm, giving people a very sunny feeling. Did you make a mistake? Suddenly, the wonderful power brought by the singing disappeared, because on the stage, Li Lanhu accidentally tripped and the performance was forced to end. Lanhu, Art and Matsura Nanish stood up nervously, worried about Li Lanhu's situation, but they were in Yang Hui's VIP seat after all. Due to the status of Yang Hui and others, they couldn't run away on their own, so they looked at Yang Hui nervously. Go ahead. Yang Hui nodded and threw something to them. Take this and go backstage. She should need your comfort right now. Art took the thing and saw that it was an ID card. Then he remembered that without this ID card, they were not qualified to enter the backstage. If they forced their way in, they would definitely cause trouble. Remember to tell him for us that it sounds good. Come on. Art and others bowed to Yang Hui, and ran out of the VIP seats with Yang Hui's blessing and went straight to the backstage. Sure enough, with the ID card thrown to them by Yang Hui, the security staff did not make it difficult for them, and they successfully found Li Lanhu, who was crying in the corner backstage. Lanhu, are you not injured? Matsura Nanish was most concerned about whether Li Lanhu was injured in the fall, not her failed performance. No. I'm fine. It's just, I messed up. Li Lanhu sobbed. It's okay, Lanhu, you performed very well. It's normal to be nervous on the stage for the first time. Matsura Nanish comforted. But, Matsura is right, your performance is also liked by some people. Art helped Li Lanhu up and comforted her. Eh? Really? Li Lanhu was surprised. After all, she had an accident during the performance. Logically, she should have been scolded. How could anyone like it? Commander Yang Hui and the ladies asked us to tell you that your singing is very nice. Come on. Art relayed Yang Hui's encouragement and blessings. Eh? That Mr. Yang Hui is here too? Did he really say that? Tears rolled in her eyes again. Really, so don't be sad. If you fail this time, work hard and try to seize the next opportunity. Yes, I will. Huh? I didn't expect such words to come out of the mouth of a coward who ran away like you. At this moment, Art heard the voice he least wanted to hear. He turned around abruptly and saw the face that made him fear and disgusted. Chapter 899 An Unexpected Discovery. You, how come you are here? Restraining the fear in his heart, Art stiffened his neck and looked at the newcomer. Seodome Ranzo, the contemporary head of the famous Seodome family, is also Seodome Art's biological father. However, after Art gave up the road of acting and chose to pursue his own ideal of flying, there was no contact. Moreover, Art and Seodome Ranzo had a bad relationship since childhood. Not only was he too strict with Art, but he also imposed his own ideas on Art without considering Art's own ideas. Before Art's mother died, there were people who made Art feel warm and supported. After his mother died, that family was just a cold house, so Art fled from the Seodome family and began to pursue his own ideals. But the psychological shadow left on Art when he was a child still made him afraid to face Seodome Ranzo. Huh? Where am I? I don't need you, a coward, to worry about me. You bastard. Art was furious. In Seodome Ranzo's eyes, Art only saw a pile of garbage and didn't regard him as a human being at all. Look, Seodome Ranzo ignored the angry Artie and glanced at Li Lanhu, whose tears had not yet been wiped away. The stage is for those who are prepared. Don't go up and insult the stage if you are not prepared. You guy. Hey, you are too much? Lanhu is just... Originally, the relationship between Seodome Ranzo and Artie was that of the Seodome family, so it was not convenient for them to interrupt. But Seodome Ranzo put the bad words on Li Lanhu, and Michael, Luca and Matsura Nanish could not bear it. I don't agree with your opinion on this, Mr. Seodome. Lakis and Shirley also came backstage. They knew that Li Lanhu would be very sad if she had a performance accident, so they planned to comfort her, but they happened to come backstage and saw this scene, and Shirley's face immediately sank. Lakis still kept smiling, but people who knew her could feel that there was a chill behind the smile. In the field of stage and performance, I don't think you have more say than me, Miss Klein. Sayodome Ranzo also didn't treat Lakis well. As a traditional performing family, Sayodome Ranzo looked down on popular stars. In his opinion, they didn't understand the essence of performance at all. Compared with the head of a traditional performing family, they were just little kids who couldn't stand up on the stage. It was only because Lakis was the wife of the Commander-in-Chief of the 25th Fleet that he used the formal title. Otherwise, he might not even respond to her, and even wouldn't sit with Lakis and Shirley when he went to the judge's seat. I don't think so, Mr. Sayodome. Lakis still kept smiling, but her tone and attitude became stronger. My husband once said that every dream is priceless, regardless of high or low, noble or humble. Hearing this, Li Lanhua was very moved, and even Art was touched. They all knew that Lakis was not only speaking for Li Lanhua, but also for Art. After all, Art was the one who gave up the Sayodome family in pursuit of his ideal. In other words, overestimating one's own abilities is also worthy of recognition. Sayodome Ranzo asked with a sneer. Whether it is overestimating one's own abilities, Mr. Sayodome, do you really understand? Humph. Sayodome Ranzo snorted coldly and left with his favorite disciple. Before leaving, Art's senior brother bowed to Lakis to express his apology, and patted Art on the shoulder to encourage him and followed. That bastard. Art looked at his father's back as he left, without reluctance or nostalgia, but only full of anger. Okay, Art, don't judge things by appearances. Lakis said to Art. What does this mean? Although Art didn't like to hear others defending Sayodome Ranzo, he had to control his emotions since it was Lakis who said this. Lakis smiled and didn't say it clearly. It was useless for her, an outsider, to say more about these things. Art needed to discover and understand them by himself. And Lanhua. Lakis and Shirley Lu came to Li Lanhua together, holding her hands on the left and right. It's a good performance, but you were a little too nervous, and you don't have enough stage experience. You haven't been trained in stage body movements, so you stumbled. In addition to vocal lessons, I will focus on teaching you this aspect. It will be very hard, so be prepared. Yes. Li Lanhua was ready to face Lakis's scolding. After all, it was very hard for Lakis to give her special treatment, but her performance was very poor. Unexpectedly, Lakis not only didn't scold her, but also planned to continue to give her special treatment more strictly. Well, wipe your tears and go back to school. Don't leave anything behind. Well, okay, Teacher Lakis. Li Lanhua's face regained its firm expression. Lakis and Shirley were relieved. They had other things to do, so they would not return to Mixing Academy with him, so they left by car first. Li Lanhua and others also packed their things, adjusted their mood, and prepared to return to Mixing Academy. However, when they left, a purple-haired uncle blocked their way. On the other side, Lakis and Shirley left the scene of the Macros Miss competition by car and went directly to the Secret Research Institute of Lie Company. Isn't he here? In the Research Institute, Shirley didn't see Yang Hui's figure, and she was inevitably disappointed. She was still very worried until Yang Hui fell into coma, but she didn't know what identity to visit Yang Hui. Disappointed, Lakis asked Shirley with a naughty smile. No way. I don't want to see him. Shirley retorted arrogantly. I didn't say I was disappointed because of him. And, who is that he? Lakis. Shirley's pretty face was quickly filled with blood red. She was really convinced by this black-bellied pink-haired monster. Why did she like to tease her so much? Lakis, Miss Shirley, you are here. Yang Hui was not there, and the job of receiving Lakis and Shirley naturally fell to Billy Katajiri. Well, do you need to do any tests today? Lakis asked proactively. No, there is no need to do any tests today. I just want to simply report to you the current results, and, this person. Lanhua. Lakis knew from the beginning that Li Lanhua was also a pre-selected target for the singer, so she was not surprised to see Li Lanhua's information, but Shirley was very surprised. Yes, this Miss Macros competition is also an opportunity to find other singers, and this girl's singing also found a special fold-wave reaction. Here is the data. How could it be? Chapter 900 Shirley Lu is ill. There were no experiments that Shirley and Lux needed to cooperate with today, so they left after listening to Billy Katajiri's report. However, Shirley's face didn't look very good along the way. Okay, Shirley, Billy didn't mean that. Don't worry about it. Lux comforted Shirley. Then what does he mean? Isn't he just looking down on me? Shirley continued to complain. It was mainly because she saw Li Lanhui's fold wave data, and the impact on fold waves far exceeded that of Shirley and Lux. Shirley was originally just surprised, but what Billy Katajiri said next made her explode. From the data on the scene, the power of this girl named Li Lanhui as a singer far exceeds that of Ms. Lakis and Miss Shirley. From the information currently available, she is still in the early stage and has very high growth potential. As long as she receives the most appropriate guidance and training, she will definitely become. In fact, it is not Billy Katajiri's fault. He is just a researcher, and he is reporting on the situation of scientific research, so he is from the most rational perspective and tells Shirley and Lakis the objective facts in the most rational tone. But this is completely different in Shirley's ears. As a galaxy fairy, she was underestimated for the first time, and was said to be far inferior to a girl who has not yet debuted. How can she accept this? Haha, it seems that you really value Lanhui. Lakis covered her mouth and chuckled. Lakis's value for Li Lanhui is more because of Li Lanhui's power as a singer, which can bring great help to the Promise Corps, while Shirley's love for Li Lanhui is more about her existence as a person. Shirley Lu had a feeling, the first time she saw Li Lanhui, that the unknown Li Lanhui would one day stand on the stage and sing loudly, just like her, as the hottest singer in the universe. This made Shirley Lu subconsciously regard Li Lanhui as a younger generation worth looking forward to, and at the same time, regarded her as a competitor. Of course, Shirley Lu was not afraid that Li Lanhui's fame would make her fall into despair. She was Shirley Lu, and she had her own pride. Even if Li Lanhui really surpassed her one day, she would use more efforts to catch up. That child was born to sing on the stage. Shirley Lu said seriously. Although Li Lanhui's performance was due to her own mistakes, the whole performance brought Shirley Lu an unparalleled sense of resonance. Music is a common language for all races in the world. You may not understand what the lyrics mean because of language barriers, but the emotions contained in the music can resonate with others, can cross the barriers of language barriers, and let others know what you want to say. As for a singer, the most important thing is empathy. Can you use your singing to resonate with the audience, let the audience know what you want to say, and let them feel the same as you do? Shirley Lu has listened to many singers so far, especially in person, but so far, Lux is the first one who resonates with her, and Li Lanhui is the second one. That's why Shirley Lu cares so much about Li Lanhui, and affirms and recognizes her so much. Well, don't worry, Shirley Lu, I will take good care of her and let her compete with you on the same stage as soon as possible. Why can't we cooperate on the same stage? Don't you always want a competitor? Don't you? Forget it. Shirley Lu originally wanted to say that Lux could also be this competitor, but when she thought that Lux's performance on stage was basically for fun and she had no intention of becoming a professional singer, she swallowed her words back. And Lux, this black-bellied pink-haired monster who can play with her in the palm of her hand, doesn't want to be considered a competitor. At this moment, Shirley Lu's mind suddenly heated up and her consciousness became blurred. Shirley, are you okay? Lux was quick to support the fallen Shirley and said worriedly. It's okay, it's an old problem, just rest for a while. Lux was silent for a moment, and immediately asked the driver in front to turn and go to the hospital. I said it's okay. No. If it was anyone else, even her agent Grace who had been with her all the time, she could be stubborn, but only Lux, the serious Lux made her unable to be stubborn. In this case, Yang Hui, who was shopping with Yulin and the other three, suddenly received a call from Lux. What? Okay, I got it. I'll be there right away. After hanging up the phone, Yang Hui looked at Yulin, Sima, Cornelia and CC apologetically. Go, Yang Hui, let's go back first. It's been a few days. If we rest any more, others will complain. Yulin said gently. Sima, Cornelia and CC also nodded in understanding. They didn't need to ask Yang Hui what happened, because Yang Hui's answer to the other parties "I'll be there right away at this time" must be very important. The group separated. Yulin, Sima, Cornelia and CC returned to the military headquarters together, and Yang Hui immediately rushed to the hospital. How is Shirley? Yang Hui came to the ward and asked Lux softly. Shirley was already asleep at this time. Very bad. Lux's face became a little ugly. Her body was transformed when she was very young, and she was infected with Vajra bacteria. She has always relied on drugs to suppress the spread. Now, can't our medical cabin treat it? Yang Hui asked with a frown. It can be, but... Lux paused and told Yang Hui the reply from the medical staff of the Promise Corps. The core medical cabin can completely treat V-type infectious diseases, but the way is to kill all the Vajra bacteria in Shirley's body. In this way, Shirley will also lose her power as a singer. This is the second half of Lux's unfinished sentence. In this world, the essence of the power of the singing girl has not been explored yet. The source of the power of each generation of singing is different. For example, the reason why the singing of the first-generation singing girl in Ming can infect the Zenithians is that the Zenithians lack the culture and entertainment sector. After being exposed to new things, they are immediately attracted. And the 25th Fleet, that is, Shirley and Li Lanhua, they rely on the Vajra bacteria in their bodies to resonate with Vajra. Even while Lakis's singing has the power to calm people's hearts is still under study, and the results are minimal. Using the medical cabin produced by Promise Fortress can indeed completely cure Shirley's disease, but this will also make Shirley lose the power to resonate with Vajra, and it is not known whether the power acting on people will disappear together. If they really disappear together, this is completely unacceptable to Shirley. This is also the reason why Lakis didn't know how to choose for a while. Chapter 901 lets you experience it firsthand. What's wrong with me? In the afterglow of the setting sun, Shirley, who was lying on the bed, woke up slowly. She was familiar with the hospital environment and immediately thought that she must have fainted again. She struggled to sit up, but as soon as her back was a little away from the bed, she was pressed back by a pair of jade hands. You still need to rest now, Shirley. Lakis. How long have I slept? 3 hours. I let you see my embarrassing side. Shirley said unwillingly, with a lonely expression on her face. It's not the first time, is it? Lakis teased. Lakis. Under Lakis's teasing, Shirley's low mood immediately rose, but it was a rise in shame and anger. This is different. What's different? Lakis pointed his finger at his face, tilted his head, and had a natural expression of serious thinking. Shirley gave up. She knew very well that it was impossible to escape the control of Lux, the black-bellied pink-haired monster in this life. However, she also knew that this was also a way for Lux to comfort her. After all, with Shirley's personality, ordinary gentle comfort would only be seen as pity or charity, right? Luxury. If one day I don't sing anymore, will you still be willing to be with me? Shirley asked with some fear. Lux was her first friend besides her agent Grace, and Yang Hui was a man she cared about very much. After tasting more friends, she was afraid to return to her former lonely life. But Shirley was also very smart. The power of the diva, the reason why Yang Hui and Lux paid so much attention to her from the beginning, wasn't it because she had the power of the diva? If she didn't sing anymore, would she still be in their sight? Sure enough, my brain doesn't work well after being unconscious for a while. Lux covered her face helplessly and shook her head. Lakis. I'm telling the truth. Then isn't the answer obvious? Lakis changed her playful attitude and gently held Shirley's hand. We are good friends, aren't we? But, are you really planning to give up? Shirley, who is unwilling to admit defeat no matter what, is finally going to choose to bow her head. Lakis asked Shirley seriously. But you sing because you are Shirley, not because of singing that you are Shirley. Shirley's body froze, and the sentence exploded in her heart like thunder. I am Shirley, singing, not singing. I am Shirley, so I will continue to sing. Seeing Shirley's eyes gradually regain their spirit, Lux also smiled knowingly and gently hugged Shirley. Are you still planning to give up singing? Of course not. Shirley felt Lux's tenderness and answered firmly, no matter what, I will sing, and keep singing, until the end of the galaxy. At this time, Yang Hui leaned against the doorframe of the ward, watching the two sisters in the afterglow of the sunset, without disturbing them until a few minutes later, when he saw the two separated and walked over. It seems that you have cheered up. Yang Hui? When did you come? Shirley saw Yang Hui coming, her face flushed, and she immediately wrapped herself in a quilt. I just came, I didn't see or hear anything. Yang Hui said with a smile. Yang Hui. After saying that, Shirley knew that Yang Hui must have heard everything. Shame and anger brought unparalleled strength, making the weak Shirley jump up from the bed and pounce on Yang Hui, biting Yang Hui's hand with her white teeth. Hiss. You are born in the year of the dog. Let go. Yang Hui wanted to cry but had no tears to let the nurse bandage his hand. Shirley still lay on the bed angrily, staring at Yang Hui with angry eyes. Okay, Commander Yang Hui. After carefully treating Yang Hui's wound, she said carefully. Thank you for your hard work, go down first. Yes. The nurse fled as if she had been pardoned. Shirley and Lakis were now the two most popular singers in the 25th Fleet, and then there was Yang Hui, the commander-in-chief of the entire army. Although the information that Lakis was Yang Hui's wife was not deliberately concealed, these three people together would be countless bloody love triangle TV dramas. Okay. Gossip is valuable, but life is more valuable. In order to save my life to explore more gossip, I'd better slip away first. It seems that you are really born in the year of the dog, and you are a stray dog. Yang Hui complained while glancing at Shirley. Shirley's bite was really fierce, breaking the skin and bleeding directly. If Lux and Yang Hui hadn't worked together to move Shirley's mouth away, the piece of meat would probably have been bitten off directly. Who told you to eavesdrop? Pervert. Yang Hui was stunned, pointing at himself questioningly. Me? Pervert. Eavesdropping on girls' whispers, what else is perverted? Yang Hui stood up expressionlessly, unbuttoned his coat, took it off and put it aside, and began to unbutton his lining. Lux, close the door, close the windows and draw the curtains. Today I will let Shirley experience firsthand what a real pervert is. Miss Shirley, what's wrong with you? Just at this moment, the nurse on duty came again, and then time stopped at this moment. The nurse on duty felt that the 6 gazes falling on her were as heavy as Mount High. The scene that came into her eyes was that Lux was sitting aside admiring herself, Shirley was like a bullied little girl, pitiful, and Yang Hui was taking off his clothes? Hiss. Is this something I can see without paying? Bah. Is this something I can see without spending my life? Excuse me. The nurse on duty pretended to be calm and left the ward, and even closed the door considerately. Well, this kind of thing is for me alone. Ugh. I can bear it alone, don't persecute others. Shirley Lou. I'll fight you. Don't come over. If you come over again, I'll scream. Someone come quickly. There's a pervert. Help. Scream. No one will save you even if you scream your throat out. Lakis, help me. You scream Lakis, what does it have to do with my broken throat? The nurse on duty, who put her ear against the door to eavesdrop, felt her heart tremble, sighing that big shots know how to play. This kind of excitement is still not something that ordinary people can bear. Until the door of the ward suddenly opened, and the nurse on duty almost fell to the ground. She looked up and saw Yang Hui walking out with a cold face, and the look in his eyes that squinted at her was cold enough to freeze the soul. Commander. The little nurse's legs were shaking, and despair enveloped her whole body. No record left. No. Well, don't tell anyone about what happened today, otherwise I will physically erase your memory, understand? Understood. The young nurse nodded quickly, feeling lucky that she survived. But soon, her body stiffened again, because Yang Hui's hand was infinitely magnified in her sight. What do you mean? Is the commander-in-chief going to attack me? In the horrified eyes of the nurse on duty, Yang Hui tore off the mask on her face, put it on his own face without any disgust, then took out a pair of large sunglasses that could cover half of his face from his arms, put them on, and walked away with his hands in his pockets. The commander, it seems that he can't be stopped. The nurse on duty stared at Yang Hui's back as he was blown away by the wind, and murmured. Chapter 902 Luo's lucky draw explodes. Yang Hui, you come, eh? What happened to your face? Billy Katagiri and Luo saw Yang Hui coming, and wanted to report the latest results immediately. Whether it was the latest progress in the research projects of MDE bullets or fold waves, they were a little excited. But, when they saw Yang Hui wearing big sunglasses and a mask, and a few scratches could be seen from the gaps, they were stunned. Nothing, you guys report. Wearing a mask, Yang Hui's voice was muffled. Are you sure? Billy Katagiri confirmed again. Well, he was curious about what Yang Hui had experienced and how the scratches on his face came from. Compared to Billy Katagiri's caution, Luo was not so timid. His hands stretched out like lightning and took off Yang Hui's sunglasses and mask. Puff ho ha ho ha. Asshole. Stop laughing. Yang Hui was furious. He had already been seen, and it was useless to take it back. Yang Hui now looked like a big cat, with scratches all over his face, making Billy Katagiri, Luo and others laugh non-stop. Haha, okay, Let me report to you first. Billy Katajiri put away his curiosity and reported the results he and Luo had achieved so far. First, there was the miniaturization project of the MDE bomb. At present, the MDE bomb has been reduced to the size of a missile warhead, and it is the size of a micro-missile warhead. The live ammunition test has also been completed. It is very stable and has maintained sufficient lethality. The setting type and throwing type have also been completed. After testing, it has been determined that it can be mass-produced and installed. Now the only thing that has not been completed is the firing type warhead of the rifle and machine gun caliber. Then there's the fold wave research project. The latest radar detection system has been completed. After testing, the performance is twice that of the old model radar detection system, and it is more accurate. It's just a pity that the jump engine that directly breaks through the fold has not been successful. However, this is not the most important achievement. The most important achievement is that they have finally quantified the impact of singing on the human body through the fold wave. Through many experiments and data comparisons from the battle, when the singing sounded, Miss Shirley and Lux used singing as a medium to transmit mental waves, but the two played two completely different roles. This is the brainwave graph when Miss Shirley sang, and this is the brainwave graph when Lux sang. Yang Hui looked at the data and the brainwave graph and understood what Billy Katajiri meant. Shirley's singing raised the audience's brainwaves straight up and then kept them at a very high level, which means that the brain was very active. But this is not stable. The sharp increase in brain waves brings instability, so the lines of the brainwave graph are always at a peak but fluctuate violently. Lux's singing is the best reliever. The brain waves under the influence of Lux's singing are in a very gentle state. At the same time, the effects of different singing can be superimposed on each other. For example, when Shirley and Lux sang at the same time, the lines of the brainwave graph were high and gentle lines, unlike when Lux was alone, which only remained in the middle layer, and unlike when Shirley was alone, which remained at the highest peak but showed a jagged shape. The influence of ordinary pilots in this world is +20, ordinary members of the Legion are +15, elite personnel are +10, and ace members are only +5. Members like you who originally have very high mental wave strength are less than +5, which means, the higher the mental wave strength, the smaller the influence. Billy Katajiri said. Well, but even so, it's very strong. Yang Hui sighed. All power has its limits. The stronger the power, the smaller the effect. This is beyond doubt. But this cannot deny the power of singing. On the one hand, Shirley and Lakis can only be regarded as novices. For example, the singing girl is also a special bloodline. The current level of this bloodline is estimated to be less than B level. It is a fantasy to bring a huge improvement to people like Yang Hui who are about to break through A level and complete the promotion of life essence. Therefore, the power of Shirley and Lakis' singing still has a lot of room for growth, including the newly discovered Yang Hui. On the other hand, how many strong people are there like Yang Hui? What proportion of the top aces in the Promised Legion are there? Most of them are ordinary warriors, so the singing of Shirley and Lux can still be defined as a strategic level auxiliary ability. As for me, I have successfully mastered all the original technologies of this world. According to the current technical level used by the Legion, the overall framework does not need to be changed, especially the materials are not much different. The main problem lies in the energy conversion armor, which has a huge improvement on the strength and durability of the skeleton. I know this. Haven't our bodies been completely transformed? Yang Hui asked. He didn't want Luo to just report some of the results he already knew. Yes, I want to talk about more than just this, and also, this. As he said, Luo called up a document. This is it. Yes, I've understood it thoroughly. It's not just that I've learned this technology, but I've also added a little bit of my own ideas. Luo raised his hand and gestured to the universe with his fingertips. I combined the principle of energy conversion armor with the newly developed energy conduction system, VPS armor, and pinpoint defense system to create a comprehensive, self-charging and self-use special armor. When facing energy attacks, it can absorb part of the energy to charge the body while resisting, greatly reducing the energy consumption of these armors and shields, and using nanorocket technology, it can replenish the wear and tear of the nano-armor coating in battle. You're really, a little bit. Luo hasn't had a burst of inspiration for a while. He often has flashes of inspiration in his head. They are all good ideas, but most of them are not applicable to the Promised Legion. After all, The entire Legion needs something that can be used universally, not just for individuals. So Luo's Red Dragon Gundam has undergone many changes under his flash of inspiration, and even the various armed backpacks of the Red Dragon Gundam can fill a warehouse. If you say it is useless, every backpack can play a good role at a specific time, but if you say it is useful, the chances of specific situations appearing are too rare. Moreover, these backpacks are only suitable for Luo, the developer. Others are either not very useful or cannot control them. They are the type that are tasteless and a pity to throw away. But this time, Luo's burst of inspiration finally brought good things, and it was a big burst of special prize level higher than the first prize. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 903 Brylistern. Are there any others? Yang Hui asked with some expectation. Based on his understanding of Luo, Luo's inspirations would burst out continuously, and generally there would be 2 or 3 great inspirations at the same time. There is another one, but I haven't found the right idea yet. What is it? Yang Hui's expectation was indeed correct. Luo came up with something good again. This is it. As Luo called out a file, Yang Hui was silent for a moment, and grabbed Luo's shoulders hard, almost removing Luo's shoulders with both hands. Gently. Gently. Billy, save me. Luo cried out for help in pain. But Billy Katajiri ignored Luo's cry for help, staring at the file Luo called out with his eyes, just like leaning on a super beauty, wishing he could pounce on her and hug her in his arms and ravage her. Luo, you have done a great job. Before saying this, can you let me go first? Luo asked Yang Hui with tears in his eyes. Ahem, I'm too excited, don't mind it. How can I not mind it? With 2 clicks, Luo put his dislocated shoulder back in place and looked at Yang Hui with resentment. Actually, it's not Yang Hui and Billy Katajiri's fault. It's mainly because Luo's inspiration is so attractive. He combined the fold crystal with the existing energy weapon system to develop an energy weapon version of the MDE bullet, that is, to make the energy weapon achieve the effect of the MDE bullet. This helped Yang Hui a lot. No, it should be said that most of the Promise Corps members helped a lot. The main weapons of the Promise Corps are energy weapons now, and many people are most accustomed to using them. Although they are also proficient in using physical bullets, they are not as easy to use as energy weapons after all. Especially Yang Hui, 80% of the combat power of Dawn Gundam is in energy weapons, such as Glorious Transmitter and Bit, which are the weapons that Yang Hui is best at and relies on the most. Once the energy weapons lose their effect, the combat power of Dawn Gundam will drop sharply. In order to adapt to the new combat environment, not only Dawn Gundam needs to be greatly modified, but even Yang Hui's combat method needs to be reformulated. It's just an idea. The correct direction and research and development ideas have not been found yet. Luo had no choice. He was completely different from people who were trained in professional schools like Yang Hui and Billy Katajiri. He took a wild path and did not have a solid basic foundation. Although he asked others for advice after joining Promise Fortress, he did not study systematically, so many times when inspiration broke out, he could not find the right idea to move forward in the first time. Billy, it depends on you. Yang Hui turned his head and looked at Billy Katajiri. Among the researchers who followed the Legion to carry out the mission this time, except for Yang Hui himself, Billy Katajiri had the most solid foundation. But I still have the MDE bomb project and the Fold Wave project. Billy Katajiri was of course itching to do it, but he had too many things on his hands, and they were all important research projects that could not be postponed. At this time, he was more determined to pull Professor Elfman and others into the Legion to carry out the mission together. The MDE bomb project can be handed over to Adrian. It only leaves the last 10% of progress, and he still has that ability. As for the Fold Wave project, let's put it on hold for now. There shouldn't be much progress in a short period of time. You just need to keep recording daily data. Yang Hui said to Billy Katajiri, and the energy weapon MDE project doesn't require you to follow along all the time. You just need to assist Luo in finding the correct research and development ideas and build the general framework. The rest can be done by Luo alone. In that case, okay, I got it. Billy Katajiri calculated in his mind whether he had enough energy, and the result was just right. A little more would not do. There's one more thing that I need you to worry about. Billy Katajiri, Shirley's health is getting worse, and the inhibitory drugs used before are getting less and less effective, but she also opposes using the medical cabin to eliminate all the Vajra bacteria in her body, so see if you can make a new inhibitory drug. Yang Hui chattered on and on, not noticing the look in Billy Katajiri's eyes as if he wanted to stab someone. You are the only one who is good at medicine at the moment, so... Hey? Where are you going? Don't leave. After much persuasion, Billy Katajiri still failed to defeat Yang Hui and took on the task. At this time, Yang Hui also received a call from Char and immediately rushed back to the military base. The reconnaissance unit discovered a small nest of Vajra. During the suppression process, it was attacked by unknown forces. There were no casualties, but the nest was half destroyed. Char and Yang Hui walked side by side to the interrogation room and reported to Yang Hui. Did you catch the person? Caught, and the body was also captured. It has obvious VF fighter characteristics, but it is more advanced and surpasses VF-25. There is no matching information in the database, but what? The person's information was found. It's a ghost. Ghost? Yes, ghost. According to the records, this person should have died 10 years ago. As they were talking, Yang Hui and Char had arrived at the door of the interrogation room. They pushed the door open and saw the person Yang Hui guessed. Is it him? Do you know him? I can't say I know him, but I know him. Yang Hui pointed to his head. He really didn't know the man in front of him. He only existed in his memory of his previous life. Did you block the signal? It's already blocked. Char nodded. When he looked up the personal information, he found that he was a member of the G Fleet, so Char was cautious and immediately activated the full range of shielding. Even the most advanced fold wave could not pass through. Since all possible circulation lines have been blocked, Yang Hui didn't care and sat down in front of him. Brelastern, your whereabouts are unknown after the 117th Survey Fleet was completely destroyed. Since we couldn't find your trace for many years, we automatically judged you dead. I didn't expect you to be alive. Yang Hui didn't ask questions, but directly said to Brelastern, another brother of Li Lanhua, is not a biological brother, but he and Li Lanhua are childhood sweethearts. They didn't separate until the 117th Survey Fleet had an accident, and then his whereabouts are unknown. Because Li Lanhua suffers from dissociative amnesia, she has lost her previous memories and can only recall vague images under certain strong stimulation. Brelastern was secretly rescued by Grace and underwent transformation experiments, and also lost her previous memories. Brelastern now works for Grace and the G Fleet in order to regain her past memories. Brelastern closed his eyes and said nothing, just being a quiet listener, listening to Yang Hui introduce himself for him, without any intention of speaking. Chapter 904, Missing Grace, Undercover. Yang Hui stared at Brelastern, who closed her eyes and said nothing, and said, I know your past memories. Sure enough, the next second after hearing this, Brelastern's expression changed, very slightly, just a slight stiffness on her face, and soon returned to normal. But this also proved that the sinal shielding was successful. Brelastern was not on the consciousness network of the G Fleet, nor was she asleep, but could hear him talking, which made it easy. I know you are Grace's man, and I also know that Grace asked you to stop us from investigating Vajra. I also know that you have been transformed by the implant and can talk to Grace in your mind, but this room has been completely shielded, and you can't get in touch with her. Now you have been captured by us, and you don't have to think about Grace saving you, so, if you still want to survive and regain your past memories, you'd better cooperate a little. At this time, Brelastern slowly opened his eyes and stared at Yang Hui. Where did Grace go? Yang Hui asked Brelastern. As Shirley's agent, Grace O'Connor should have been with Shirley all the time, but not long ago, Grace suddenly told Shirley that she had some things to deal with. Shirley didn't ask much because she trusted Grace and Grace had been busy with Shirley since she became famous. But Grace O'Connor disappeared without a trace. Her last stop before disappearing was to meet with Leon Mishima in the secret room in the bottom area, and then she disappeared. Even Shirley couldn't contact her. Grace was the focus of observation. She disappeared just like that, which made Yang Hui and others nervous. Crews also sent a large number of people to search for Grace. Are you telling the truth? Brella Stern didn't answer, but asked Yang Hui instead. This on your head. Yang Hui pointed to the hairpin-like device on Brella Stern's left forehead and said, this is the controller installed when you were implanted. It is this thing that blocked your memory. Brella Stern's face changed, a little ugly, but he did not immediately believe Yang Hui's words. After all, he was now a prisoner and it was the first time he had contact with Yang Hui. It's the same question. Where is Grace? Yang Hui had already given his sincerity. If Brella Stern was still not going to cooperate, he would not waste too much time on this person. He was considered a talent, but Yang Hui said bluntly that Brella Stern's potential had been exhausted. The reason why he could now show combat effectiveness that exceeded the elite ace of the SMS team was mainly because his body had undergone biochemical transformation, and his physical strength and reaction speed had been improved by physical means, and he was driving a VF-27 fighter with better performance than the VF-25. His ability was not bad, but his upper limit was also locked. People without a growth upper limit did not have much prospects. Then, they can execute her secretly. Even if Li Lanho recovers her memory, it can be said that Brella Stern was already dead when the 117th Fleet was destroyed. Really? Then, seeing that Brella Stern was still unwilling to cooperate, Yang Hui calmly stood up and prepared to leave. Just as he was about to step out of the door of the interrogation room, Brella Stern finally spoke. I want to see her first. Who? Little Queen. She is your sister. You grew up with her until the 117th Survey Fleet was destroyed. You were secretly rescued by Grace and transformed to become her pawn. Lanho suffered from dissociative amnesia due to excessive stimulation and forgot her previous memories. She doesn't remember you now, nor does she remember anything in the past. Under Yang Hui's narration, although Brella Stern has not been able to recover his past memories, he can feel that there is something in his mind that has been preventing something from waking up. Fragmented images keep flashing in front of his eyes, but they are fleeting and cannot be stabilized or connected together. Enduring the pain, Brella Stern raised his hand and wanted to pull out the hairpin on his head, but Yang Hui quickly came to his side and stopped him. Why stop me? Brella Stern asked Yang Hui with an unpleasant expression. It's not the right time yet. I need you to reappear in front of Grace and be our eyes and ears. In Yang Hui's view, Brella Stern's greatest role is to reappear beside Grace, so that they can better grasp Grace's whereabouts and situation. Deal. Brella Stern nodded and agreed to Yang Hui's request. In a moment, I will ask a professional team to take the thing off your brain, modify it and reinstall it. It will still block your previous memories, but it will eliminate Grace's forced control over you. When everything is over, this thing will be removed and your memory will be returned to you. Understood? In that case, then answer my question first. Where is Grace now? I don't know. She never tells me her specific plans, she only assigns me tasks. What Brella Stern said was true. To Grace, he was just a useful chess piece. She would not tell him the whole plan. The details he knew were what he had learned and guessed from multiple missions. When was the last time you contacted each other? 3 days ago, she asked me to be on standby in the target space. If you send someone to investigate Vajra's nest within a week, I will destroy it. If not, I will return to the 25th Fleet, continue to pay attention to Little Queen and wait for an opportunity to capture her. 3 days ago? Okay, I got it. The last question is, where's the Consciousness Network Center of the G Fleet? This is the information that Yang Hui is most eager to get. As long as the Consciousness Network Center of the G Fleet can be found and completely destroyed, Grace will not be such a big threat. Moreover, Grace, who has lost her resurrection ability, can be killed directly if she is found, and there is no need to go through so much trouble like now. I don't know, but I know that Grace carries a crystal terminal with her, which can theoretically be used as a subsystem of the network center. Okay, I got it. Yang Hui nodded and asked Char to call the professional team to deal with implant. How can I contact you? You don't need to contact me. I will add a core code to your control system. When this code is activated, it will tell you what to do. Understood. After the professional team arrived, Yang Hui and Xiaoyao left the interrogation room together. They no longer needed to worry about Brella Stern's affairs. Since he was an undercover agent, it was Cruz's responsibility. What they had to do next was to cooperate and let Brella Stern escape from here hardly. Chapter 905, Reasonable Escape. Boom. The prisoner car carrying Brella Stern exploded violently on the way, and the smoke from the fire rose slowly. Fortunately, the explosion was far away from crowded places, and did not cause turmoil or panic. That's it? Can you fool them? Yang Hui, who was sitting in the monitoring room and watching the whole process, looked at Cruz beside him with a strange expression. Then what do you expect? A gorgeous gunfight? Complex calculations? Or a carefully planned internal and external cooperation? Cruz rolled his eyes speechlessly. If it's possible, I'm looking forward to it. Yang Hui spread his hands and said. Of course not. The 25th Fleet needs stability, so a gorgeous gunfight is naturally impossible to arrange, and complex calculations are even more impossible, because this does not fit Brella Stern's personality at all. Finally, a carefully planned internal and external cooperation is the most impossible. Brella Stern is a chess piece that can be discarded at any time for both Grace and Leon Mishima, so they will not spend so much energy to rescue him. The question is, can we hide it from them like this? As long as they are not stupid, you can't hide it no matter what you arrange. Cruz said, from the moment he was captured by us, Brella Stern had already lost their trust, especially Leon Mishima. After all, he doesn't have an implant, so it's better to keep it simple and let him escape from us in a reasonable way. Okay. Yang Hui shrugged. It was indeed as Cruz said. No matter which method they arranged for Brella Stern to escape from them in a reasonable way, Grace and Leon Mishima would never trust him again, so it's better to keep it simple and save time and effort. As for how Brella Stern could regain Grace's trust and be a good undercover, it all depended on his own ability. Leon Mishima is not missing, right? Him? Where can he go missing? Cruz smiled coldly. Grace's disappearance was his fault, but it was also Grace's strength. She could actually disappear from the surveillance network arranged by Cruz himself. But Leon Mishima. It's not that Cruz looked down on him. He only arranged 1/3 of Grace's surveillance force to investigate everything he ate in the morning, noon and night. Moreover, compared with Grace, Leon Mishima has a huge disadvantage, that is, implant. Without implant, Leon Mishima cannot reversely detect and monitor his power, let alone obtain information from the outside world quietly. Moreover, Grace has implant. If it doesn't work, she can just abandon her current body and create a new body to be reborn outside the 25th Fleet. But where can Leon Mishima go after leaving the 25th Fleet? As long as he is still in the 25th Fleet, he will definitely not escape Cruz's eyes. So, can we conclude that Grace has left the 25th Fleet? It's certain. The 25th Fleet has been overturned several times, but I'm curious about how she left the 25th Fleet quietly. Leaving by ship is impossible. I have carefully searched and there are no signs of any spacecraft leaving the port during this period, even if it is a hidden port. If she left by self-destructing her body consciousness, how did she deal with the body left behind? Cruz reported to Yang Hui while thinking about how Grace left. No one can guarantee that their work can always be handled perfectly. It's not the first time that Cruz has made a mistake in intelligence, but this mistake makes him particularly concerned, or particularly curious. Okay, Cruz, Shirley Lu and Li Lanho are still in the 25th Fleet. She will definitely come back, and Leon Mishima. Don't worry, it's impossible to lose her here. What I didn't expect is that there are so many people willing to help him, a fallen assistant officer. It seems that our series of actions have caused dissatisfaction among many people. Cruz smiled calmly, as if he was mocking Yang Hui. It just so happens that this group of people have been behaving themselves and I can't find a reason to deal with them. Yang Hui also smiled, but his smile was a little cold. By the way, what should we do with the thing in warehouse number 99? Just clean it up. That kind of thing will hurt the flowers and plants. Understood. On the other side, after Brella Stern escaped from the prison van, he immediately went to the safe house that was arranged before he was caught. After arriving at the safe house, he contacted Grace as soon as possible. You escaped. Grace's tone was full of distrust during the communication. Grace was very wary of Yang Hui's group of people who suddenly appeared. On the one hand, they were powerful, and on the other hand, they were powerful. Grace found out from the beginning that she was being monitored. If Shirley Lu was also the one being monitored, then she could understand it as secretly protecting her, but when she found excuses to act alone many times, she found that the targets of these surveillance were all her, not Shirley Lu, so she began to plan how to escape from the 25th Fleet. Grace is a cautious person, and she is also a completely self-centered person. If she had not been forced to do so, she would not have given up the two important targets, Shirley and Li Lanhua, and chose to quietly leave the 25th Fleet alone and get out of the sight of Yang Hui and others. She has watched Brella Stern grow up since she was a child, and she is also very clear about his abilities. It is a fantasy for him to escape from the hands of Yang Hui and others alone. Someone has provided assistance. Brella Stern performed according to the script arranged by Cruz. He had no expression and would not arouse suspicion as long as he remained as he was. Who? I don't know. Why couldn't I contact you before? According to Yang Hui, the interrogation room used a new technology to block all signals. Show me your memory. Understood. Brella Stern showed her memory to Grace without any hesitation. From Grace's perspective, Brella Stern took an extremely uncooperative attitude in the face of Yang Hui's interrogation. He didn't say anything, exhausted Yang Hui's patience, and was escorted to the execution ground to be executed directly. But on the way to the prison van, one of the escorts quietly unlocked the electromagnetic handcuffs and handed a microbomb to Brella Stern in a very short time. Then, Brella Stern suddenly took action during the escort of the prison van, subdued the escort and detonated the bomb, so that Brella Stern's body is now incomplete, and traces of biochemical transformation under the approval can be seen everywhere. Well, it's well done. Although Grace did not completely dispel her doubts after reading it, she still believed it a little. After all, in Grace's eyes, the technology of the 25th Fleet is definitely not as good as that of the G Fleet. It is impossible to crack the control device and implant technology on Brella Stern, at least for now. But she never thought that Yang Hui had started to study implant as early as the moment he reached a cooperation with the Li Company. After all, Grace, who had implant, was a big worry for the Promise Corps from the beginning. The next task? Brella Stern asked. Spy on Little Queen and watch her every move. What about Fairy 9? You can try if you want to get caught again, and, if Little Queen can be sure, then she has no value. Understood. Chapter 906 I have an idea. Consolation Concert. Yang Hui frowned as he listened to Wang Liumai's story. Yes, the famous 33rd Marine Corps learned that the two most famous singers were in the 25th Fleet, so they sent us an application. You'll make trouble if we don't agree? Haha, a bunch of soldiers. Yang Hui shook his head. He had no prejudice against alien races. If they were friends, he would have fine wine, and if they were enemies, he would naturally swing his sword without hesitation. The Zenith civilization was the same. In Yang Hui's eyes, they were all racial civilizations, just like humans. Since it was a civilization, there were naturally good and bad. He would not change his view of the entire race because of a small number of people. But this 33rd Marine Corps, the people above were smart people, but the people below. It's not that Yang Hui looked down on them, they were a group of simple-minded, well-developed idiots, especially the leader of the uprising. He looked like he had a big head, but his brain cells were probably not as big as a sparrow. With just that few people and that little weapons, they tried to launch an armed coup and start a war again? It was a joke. However, it was precisely because his mind was too simple that Grace successfully aroused his rebellious thoughts in just a few words and successfully fooled him into becoming a pawn. However, Yang Hui was really doubtful now. Where did he get the courage now? After all, in the original historical trajectory, Leon Mishima was in power and sent a batch of MDE bombs as a trump card. Moreover, under the operation of Grace and Leon Mishima, Shirley's guard was only the newcomer art. But now, Grace has hidden herself, Leon Mishima has lost power, and the custody of MDE bombs is very strict. It is impossible for them to be lost. There are also the guards of Shirley and Lakes. Even if they agree, they can't send only one person. Even Yang Hui will go there in person. Under such a huge difference, what trump card did Grace provide to that wretched brain to give him the courage to rebel? My suggestion is to refuse. There is a fault between the 33rd Marine Corps Station Gallia 4 and the fleet. Once an accident occurs, it will be impossible to provide timely support. Wang Liumai gave her own advice. If that happens, it will give the other side an excuse to launch an attack. It doesn't matter. Anyway, we just need to control the 25 fleets. The other forces have nothing to do with us. That's right, then. At this moment, Lux suddenly came with Shirley. Why are you here? Yang Hui frowned. If it was just Lux, it would be fine. Not to mention that Lux was one of them, and her political ability could also participate in the conversation between Yang Hui and Wang Liumai. but bringing Shirley was a bit against the rules. I have already agreed to the condolence concert, Shirley said directly before Lux opened her mouth. You agreed? Yang Hui frowned deeply. Shirley's behavior was, damn. Yang Hui covered his face and felt depressed. Because Shirley had been in the 25th Fleet, he overlooked one thing. Shirley was not a member of the 25th Fleet. She was a civilian, a star, and she was free. For example, the 33rd Marine Corps invited Shirley to hold a concert, and they did not need to go through the new unified government of the 25th Fleet. Instead, they directly applied to Shirley's agent in the form of a commercial performance. After the agent agreed, they could arrange the schedule for the star. Then the question was, who is Shirley's agent? Grace. How did you know about this? Yang Hui asked Shirley. Grace told me that she thought this was an opportunity. The Zentradians are also a powerful force, and the 33rd Marine Corps is a model among them. Isn't the fleet facing the threat of Vajra now? If we do this, we can also win over a potential ally for the fleet. Shirley said, but most of the content was arranged by Grace for her. For Shirley, as long as she wants, she will agree to any concert. Ms. Grace? Did she ask for leave? Yang Hui asked. This might be an opportunity to find out where Grace is. That's why I'm unhappy. Shirley pouted and said, she's really something. She should have taken a good vacation, but she's still working during her break. How unreliable am I? Yang Hui, Wang Liumi and Lux were silent. Shirley didn't know about Grace yet, and they didn't tell her, so Shirley still treated Grace as her closest person. Okay, Shirley, what's the matter with you coming here? Yang Hui asked Shirley. He didn't say anything to make Shirley refuse the concert. On the one hand, he couldn't produce evidence to prove that someone in the 33rd Marine Corps was going to cause trouble, and on the other hand, he couldn't produce evidence to prove that Grace was the mastermind behind everything. It was just persuasion, and Shirley would never believe it, especially the latter. Moreover, there was nothing more difficult in the world than Shirley giving up singing. Of course it's a guard job. Shirley said as a matter of course, I want you to be my guard, escort me and Lux to Gallia 4 for the concert, and then come back. Lux knew that there must be something wrong with this concert invitation, but Shirley insisted on going, so she had to follow. Alice. Yang Hui covered his face and sighed. What? You don't want to? Shirley asked anxiously. It's not a question of willingness. Yang Hui looked at Shirley with some depression and said, is it because we know each other too well that you forgot something? What is it? Shirley was stunned and asked stupidly. I am the commander-in-chief of the entire army. Oh. Shirley's mouth began to twitch, just like Yang Hui said, because they were too familiar with each other, and Yang Hui rarely showed the majesty of the commander-in-chief of the entire army in front of her, so she really forgot. How much face do you have? You want me, the commander-in-chief of the entire army, to be your guard? Who made you so gentle? You don't have the dignity of a commander-in-chief at all. Shirley Lu retorted arrogantly. Then I really thank you. Yes, you should thank me. Yang Hui shook his head depressedly, and then said to Shirley Lu, I will think about the guard matter. You and Lux go back first and we will discuss it first. I see. Shirley Lu nodded. She knew that Yang Hui would definitely send guards to accompany her and Lux, but who would he send? How would he send them? She couldn't decide immediately, and she knew very well that her current identity was just a star and a civilian. The things that Yang Hui and Wang Liumi wanted to discuss must be official business, not something that a star like her could participate in. She knew what was public and what was private. However, before Lux followed Shirley Lu out of the room, she received Yang Hui's eyes and nodded. Alice, it seems there is no room for refusal. After Shirley and Lux left, Yang Hui sighed. Yes, I subconsciously forgot about the normal process, but this may be an opportunity. Wang Liumi said. Well, Grace is probably in Gallia 4 now, maybe we can catch her, even if it's just a body, we can do some reverse research. Now it's the structure and selection of the guards, but Yang Hui, I have an idea. Coincidentally, I have an idea too. Yang Hui and Wang Liumi smiled at each other. They didn't need to play the game of prime minister and governor. They could know what the other was thinking with just a glance. Chapter 907, Escort of the Entire Fleet. Damn it. How could they do this? Grace, who was hiding in the wilderness of Gallia 4, looked up at the full jump exits that appeared one after another. Her teeth were about to break, and her freshly trimmed nails were pinched into the flesh. Blood dripped from the gaps between her fists and fell to the ground without being noticed. But soon, Grace showed a gloomy smile. Haha, very good, this will save me a lot of trouble. The 33rd Marine Corps was also panicked. Captain Ajit and his adjutant were just surprised. After all, they had received the notice from the 25th Fleet in advance. Before seeing it with their own eyes, they did not expect the other party to be so generous. But the person who was hiding in the team and wanted to make trouble was really panicked. Such a thing. Why didn't you tell me in advance? Damn it. Should we launch it or not? In the space region where Gallia 4 was located, warships escaped from the full jump channel one after another and deployed a guard formation. At the rear of the fleet, the main island and other living islands of the 25th Fleet jumped out one after another and stayed near Gallia 4 under the protection of the fleet. Is this considered as using public power for personal gain? Howard Glass said teasingly while standing beside Yang Hui. Of course not. Yang Hui responded calmly, although Gallia 4 is not suitable for long-term human habitation, it still has basic living conditions. After the concert is over, we will reach an agreement with the 33rd Marine Corps, and the residents of the fleet can also go on a tour. After all, it has been a long time since they last went to real land. Although what you said makes sense, I still think you are using public power for personal gain. The scandal between Yang Hui and Shirley Liu was well controlled among the people, but the top brass of the 25th Fleet was still very clear, especially Howard Glass. Although he handed over the power to Yang Hui and the Promise Corps, it did not mean that he would not care about anything and would not do anything, and would just sit in the position of the president as a mascot. It didn't deviate much from the original route anyway, it's just that the fold fault is a bit troublesome. Well, it's already happened, I can't stop it, but I heard that the new fold engine that is not affected by the fault has been approved. Howard Glass asked. This is a very important technology. Once it is successfully developed, the 25th Fleet, which is not blocked by the fold fault, will be invincible anywhere. It's just been approved. There are too many projects to be developed now, and there are not enough people. Yang Hui also sighed, although it was acting. In fact, the new engine that is not affected by the fold fault has achieved certain results, because this technology was originally stolen by Yang Hui from the headquarters database of Lie Company. I can only say, the internet is really a good thing. After Adrian Angelo took control of the 25th Fleet branch, Yang Hui secretly sent people from the 25th Fleet to the Earth to set up a super small communication relay device, so that the 25th Fleet can directly connect to the Earth's network. The purpose is to connect to the central database of the Lie headquarters and steal the information of the newly developed new engine that is not affected by the fold fault. The central database of Lie headquarters is naturally equipped with a strict firewall system. It can resist any external hacker attack without any physical connection. There is no possibility of breaking through. But Yang Hui only uses the hacker technology for this world. What he brought is the virus software produced by Promise Fortress, which can be called bug level. It is easy to crack the firewall of this world and steal the data quietly. After getting this technology, Yang Hui personally led the team to study and research. At present, good progress has been made. It has not reached the level of stability in mass production, but if the research continues, it will be possible to break through the technical difficulties in 2 months at most and update the equipment of the fleet again. Well, don't worry, take your time. Howard Glass was actually very anxious. After all, facing the threat of Vajra, the safety of the 25th Fleet has always been a tightrope walker, and it may fall into the abyss at any time, but he also knows that scientific research and development requires patience and meticulousness. Anxiety and panic are the most likely to cause problems, so he comforted Yang Hui. Yes, I know. Yang Hui nodded, and then listened to the report of the entire fleet. There was no jumping accident, and no enemies were found around. Everything was normal. The VIP formation can set off. Understood. The one escorting Shirley to land on Gallia 4 this time was Malu's vehicle, Archangel. With a shipload and firepower of the Kirin class mothership, let alone a small number of people rebelling, even if the entire 33rd Marine Corps went together, there would be no room for recovery. At the same time, the missed troops carried by the Archangel mothership have been replaced. Kira and Athrin led Isaac, Diego, Nigel, Shai, Sheen, Lei, Meu, and Luna, and the old members of the original 12th Independent Technical Force, plus the top members of the original Ghost Force, led by Rambaral. With such a lineup, unless the opponent has a master of Yang Hui's level, and the number is more than 4, otherwise the Kirin class battleships don't even need to open fire, and the opponent will have to give up. I hope everything goes well. Yet, Howard Glass nodded and left the Central Command Center. He didn't need to be present for the next thing. After all, he was an old fox. He could see that Yang Hui had other plans, and he didn't intend to let him know. After Howard Glass left, Yang Hui really connected to Cruz's communication. The commando team can set off, break into the atmosphere from the other side, find her, stop her, and catch her and them. Understood, I won't let the prey escape this time. As soon as the voice fell, Cruz actually showed the expression of a hunter. If the prey took advantage of the loophole of insufficient intelligence to escape the first pursuit, Cruz could still accept it, but if there was enough intelligence and the prey escaped for the second time, this would be a big loss of face, which Cruz would not allow. The Archangel that broke into the atmosphere did not land directly, but hovered above the sea. The shuttle that Shirley and Lakos took arrived at the base of the 33rd Marine Corps under the escort of Ms. such as Kira and Atheron. I am Major General Aslan Sarah from the 25th Fleet, and I am here to escort Lakos Klein and Shirley Nome. In the entire escort formation, only Malu has a higher rank than Aslan. Kira is also a Major General, but it is obvious that Kira is not suitable for this occasion, so Aslan is the temporary person in charge for the conversation. Major General. Hearing Aslan's rank, Ogte, the captain of the 33rd Marine Corps, was also shocked. After all, he was only a major. The others were even more surprised, especially at Aslan's age. After all, according to their understanding of the new unified government, the rank of general, under 50 years old is considered young. Excuse me, Major General Sarah, I am Major Ogte, the captain of the 33rd Marine Corps. I didn't expect you to send a Major General to escort me. I am really sorry for not welcoming you. No matter how Aslan got his rank, he is a Major General after all, so Ogte has to show his attitude. This just shows how important the safety of Miss Lakos and Miss Shirley is. Aslan replied calmly. Understood. After the greetings, the adjutant began the formal welcoming ceremony. Comrades from Zentridi. Salute Miss Galaxy Fairy, Shirley Nome and Miss Peace Songstress, Lakos Klein. The sonorous and uniform formations and salutes, the long red carpet stretched from the shuttle boarding gate to the base, the shuttle door opened, and Lakos and Shirley stepped into the place covered by sunlight. Chapter 908, Still want to perform in front of Lux? Are you okay, Shirley? Lux looked at Shirley with some worry. Although she had taken the inhibitor, it was a mystery how long she could last. The new drug she was developing had not been successful yet, so Shirley was in a state where she could collapse at any time. It's okay, I will be fine. Shirley said confidently, I will not be defeated by small difficulties, especially in front of my fans. Yet, Lux knew that Shirley was forcing herself to move. The beads of sweat on her forehead were the best proof. But at this point, Lux could only trust Shirley. The two walked out of the cabin hand in hand, and waved to the Zentridi who greeted them while walking down the stairs, and were greeted with huge cheers. Ms. Shirley, Ms. Lakos, welcome to our presence. Thank you very much for your agreement. Major Ajit sincerely thanked Shirley and Lakos. Not all members of the 33rd Marine Corps were troublemakers. It was just that the internal conflicts had become increasingly serious. In order to ease the internal conflicts, Major Ajit had no choice but to ask Shirley and Lakos to hold the concert. It would be the best result if they agreed, but they refused. He was also prepared to suppress them by force. Now Shirley and Lakos really came, and they came together. He was very grateful. After all, although Gallia 4 had an atmospheric environment, it was not suitable for human survival. You're welcome, Major Ajite. Your request is not a difficult matter. Lakos supported Shirley, who was almost unable to stand, with both hands, and said to Major Ajite seriously, it's just that Shirley is already in poor health due to the long journey. In addition to the environment of Gallia 4, she may need a rest and will not be able to hold a concert immediately. Major Ajite turned his head and glanced at Shirley, who was becoming weaker and weaker. The gratitude in his heart became even stronger. Shirley was already in poor health and was also exhausted from the long journey. If Shirley was doing this based on her professional ethics or her efforts for the ideal of peace, She is worthy of respect. Of course, Ms. Lakis, and in order to achieve the best effect for the concert, we also need to prepare the best stage, right? Thank you very much for your understanding, Major Ajit. Lakis smiled and nodded. After a simple conversation, Lakis was able to judge Major Ajit's position. The rest was. Then, Major Ajit told all the entreaty present about Shirley's situation, Lakis's request, and his own ideas. After hearing this, they began to whisper. Most of them expressed their support. After all, they were stationed in Gallia 4 and it was difficult for them to hold the concert. If it was just a hasty end, they would naturally be dissatisfied. Moreover, they were indeed very worried about Shirley's physical condition. But the other side was different. A small number of people started to make trouble under the leadership of the leader. Hey, hey, hey. What's going on? You're sick right after arriving at Gallia 4. Are you kidding us? No. This is. What a joke. As expected, humans don't intend to sing for the Zentradians? Then the negotiations have broken down. For a moment, the 33rd Marine Regiment was divided into two factions. Both sides pointed their guns at each other. Alert! Seeing that the situation was not good, Aslan and his companions immediately protected the shuttle that Lakis and Shirley were riding in. The weapon system was fully activated, locking onto the Zentradians who were making trouble on the opposite side, and even the Archangel in the sky began to turn its gun barrel. Stop it! At this moment, Lakis came out of the protection regardless of the danger, and blocked the two sides with her weak body. Lakis! Danger! Get back! Ms. Lakis! Huh? What does this woman want to do? Everyone's eyes were attracted by Lakis, waiting for her next words. No problem, Aslan, Major Ajit, leave it to me. Lakis smiled and nodded to the people who wanted to protect her, then looked at the Zentradi team who were making trouble with great seriousness, exuding an oppressive aura. We agreed to Major Ajit's request with a vision of peace and came to hold the concert for you, especially when Shirley knew that she was unwell. Is this how you welcome guests? Welcome people who want to sing for you? Do you think this is what you expect and yearn for singing? Lakis. Ms. Lakis. Aslan and the people from the Promise Corps looked at the figure who faced the troublemakers alone and was not afraid in front of many weapons. For a moment, they recalled that Lakis was not only a peace songster, but also a very scary politician. The rationals in treaty who supported Major Ajit were stunned at the scene in front of them. They could not imagine how a mere songster could exude an aura that made them feel extremely oppressive. Even the group that was causing the trouble was shocked by Lux at this moment, and was speechless by her questioning. Don't listen to her nonsense. She just doesn't want to sing for us. The leader saw that the situation was not good, and found that many of his subordinates who were bewitched by him were wavering, so he spoke up in time to stop them. But unfortunately, he was facing Lux, and Lux started her performance, so he would not give him any chance to perform. Please shut up. Lux said sternly. First of all, humans and the Zentradians are allies in the pursuit of peace, not a subordinate relationship. We don't owe you Zentradians anything, and there is no reason for us to sing for you, so whether we sing for you is our freedom. Secondly, the bond for pursuing peace has never been singing, but everyone's common prayers and efforts. Don't use singing as an excuse. Finally, Shirley knew that she was not feeling well, but after understanding everyone's demands, she still agreed to your request and came here with a seriously ill body. Instead of being grateful, you are aggressive. You are not looking forward to hearing her singing at all, but an insult to her. I will never allow such a thing. Please put away your guns. How, woman, what can I do if you don't allow it? Major Ajit. Lakis did not answer the leader of the group, but turned to look at Major Ajit. If the other party insists on insulting Shirley and threatens our personal safety, I will ask you to suppress them together in the name of Lakis Klein, the wife of the Commander-in-Chief of the 25th Fleet, and lodge a serious protest to the new unified government. What? Ms. Lakis. Please don't. Both the leader of the group and Major Ajit were frightened by Lakis. The former was just horrified by Lakis's identity. If she was just a little star, even if something happened, due to the relationship between humans and Zentradi, they would not directly send troops to attack. But Lakis was the wife of the Commander-in-Chief of the fleet. Not to mention what the attitude of all humans would be. The fleet above his head was not something he could deal with, even if he had the trump card given to him by his collaborator. The latter was worried that because of a small number of people making trouble, The relationship between humans and Zentradi as a whole would deteriorate, which was the biggest crisis. For a moment, the two sides were in a stalemate and no one dared to fire the first shot. Chapter 909, Sudden Change. Tisk, this Lux is really troublesome. Grace was also observing all this from a distance. If her plan was to succeed, she had to make a big fuss and control Shirley and Lux, because only in this way could she attract Li Lanhua and let her sing in place of Shirley and Lux. If Li Lanhua didn't sing, Grace couldn't confirm the identity and ability of Little Queen, and her and their plan couldn't go on. After observing all this time, Grace found that Li Lanhua's singing could indeed resonate with Vajra more than Shirley, and it was dozens of times stronger. Although Shirley's current ability could attract Vajra to a certain extent, it was not enough, far from enough. Only Little Queen, only Li Lanhua's innate constitution to coexist with Vajra bacteria, could make Vajra regard her as the same kind, and only then could she complete her plan. No, we must think of a way, otherwise. Oh, I almost forgot that I haven't used this card yet. Grace's mouth curled up in a sinister arc, but soon it became silent again, looking up at the universe. But will it really work? Damn Yang Hui, you actually dare to do this, aren't you afraid that I will directly destroy all of you? Grace holds a weapon that can destroy 25 fleets in an instant. Not to mention 25 fleets, even Gallia 4 can be directly destroyed. But Grace really doesn't dare to use it now. Li Lanhua is the most important part of her plan and has no replacement. Once the weapon is used to destroy the 25 fleets, Li Lanhua, who is also in the 25 fleets, will definitely be affected. Moreover, Li Lanhua's ability has not been fully determined, and Grace and her ambitious companions who are uncertain dare not act rashly. It really doesn't work. The stalemate at the scene of the 33rd Marine Corps has lasted for half an hour. Lakis did not return to the protection, but stood in the middle of the two sides, looking at the troublemakers with a serious look. However, the Eternal Freedom Gundam and the Immortal Justice Gundam have moved to Lakis's left and right. As long as the opponent makes a move that threatens Lakis's life, the Eternal Freedom Gundam will immediately turn the locked target into dust, and the Immortal Justice Gundam will protect Lakis and retreat. In fact, most of the people in the troublemakers have been shaken. On the one hand, Lakis's questioning touched their hearts, and their original mentality has begun to change and entered the stage of self-doubt. On the other hand, it is completely different from the original historical trajectory. Although they have robbed all the available MIs, there are still a large number of 25 fleet MIs on the other side, and there is a battleship above their heads, not to mention that there is a large fleet of fleets in the space orbit, and they have no hostages to make the other side afraid to act rashly. The leader of the riot was in a dilemma. If he started the riot, he would be struck by thunder. If he didn't start the riot, others might be forgiven, but he, the instigator, would definitely not survive. Once again, I ask you to put down your guns. If all you want is the singing of Shirley and I promise you that after Shirley recovers, I will definitely present you with an unparalleled concert to satisfy your expectations. Sure enough, Lux changed to a softer attitude, not so strong, which made the members of the riot group more tempted and slowly lowered their guns. No. Don't be bewitched by her. Put down your weapons now. The other side will open fire in the next second. Do you want to be slaughtered? The leader didn't dare to let his people put down their guns. Anyway, he had no way to survive. These people were his very important support. If they all abandoned him, there would be absolutely no room for recovery. Sure enough, the leader's instigation was effective. The Zentradi who had planned to lay down their weapons raised their guns again. However, compared to their previous determination and pride, they were now only afraid and worried. Major Ogte, please allow me to ask? If anyone can lay down their weapons now, please exempt them from punishment. I can see that most of them are not willing, but are under duress. Lakis saw that the will of the other side was firmed up again under the drive of fear, and immediately asked Major Ogte. Well, Major Ogte fell into thinking. He knew his soldiers very well. It must be false that they were under duress, but a large part of them were indeed bewitched by the leader. They really just wanted to listen to the song. According to the regulations of the 33rd Marine Corps, these people must be punished even if they surrendered in the end. But, looking at the current situation, if he did not agree to Lakis's request, it was unknown how long this confrontation would last. They were stationed in the deserted Gallia 4, and it didn't matter how long it lasted. But he couldn't pin his hopes on the patience of the 25th Fleet. Once the commander-in-chief of the 25th Fleet lost his patience, there would be no room for negotiation. So, he decided to agree to Lakis's request. "No problem, Ms. Lakis." Lakis nodded, and then said to the group of troublemakers, "You have received the promise of Major Ajit, and also my promise. I will promise you as the wife of the Commander-in-Chief of the 25th Fleet and the Peace Songstress, that you will not be punished if you surrender now. Please lay down your weapons and end this meaningless farce." Is what she said true? Major Ajit has agreed. He is a man of his word. Or, forget it. Surrender. Even if you don't surrender, you can't win. Don't forget the fleet above your head. Sure enough, under the guidance of Lakis, more people wavered again, and more violently. Some people had already thrown away their weapons and walked aside. After a while, only a few of his diehards were still holding on, and the others all chose to surrender. You guys, you actually. Seeing more and more people leaving his team, the leader's face became more and more ugly and nervous. Do you still want to fight? You know very well that your plan is impossible to succeed. If you continue to insist, not only will there be no hope of success, but you will also implicate your compatriots. So, lay down your weapons and don't destroy the hard-won peace. Lux's every word was sincere. She was the person who least wanted to see war happen, and the person who most wanted to stop any war before it started. HMPH. You, what do you human know? The leader who was forced into a corner roared angrily. Peace? Singing? These things should not exist. Culture? What is culture? Fighting is culture. This is the culture engraved in our DNA. Only by fighting can we prove ourselves. Only by fighting can we be Zentradians. Peace? Haha, this kind of playful thing will only insult our blood and DNA. So, stop talking nonsense. Human. As soon as he finished speaking, the leader pointed the gun at Lux and was about to pull the trigger. He didn't care anymore. He was going to die anyway, so he would use his life to reignite the war and reignite the fighting factor in the Zentradian DNA. But at this moment, the change happened again. The leader and his diehards, and even the members of the rioting group who had disarmed and chose to surrender, all fell to the ground in pain. Their backs suddenly exploded and stretched out countless tentacles to wrap up their bodies. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 910, The Return of the Snake of the Body. What happened? These Zentrades suddenly became abnormal, scaring everyone around them. Some people retreated in fear, while others stepped forward to check. But Aslan and others immediately became alert. Lakis also understood that something unexpected had happened, so she immediately retreated and evacuated to a safe place with Shirley and the accompanying agent team. Retreat. Alert. Aslan, Kira and the Miz troops immediately formed a defense line and locked all the weapon systems on the Zentrades who had mutated. Aslan, report the situation. The Archangel in the sky must have noticed the situation below, but Meru could not accurately understand the situation below through the optical camera, so she asked anxiously. The troublemaking group has undergone a mutation, and the current situation is unclear. Wait. It's the snake. The snake has appeared, requesting immediate support. What? As he heard this, the flesh cocoon wrapped by tentacles in the optical camera finally revealed its true face. The color of the flesh cocoon changed from black to white, and its huge body completely devoured the Zentradi inside its body. Its huge claws flashed with cold light, and under its huge body that was as bloated as a balloon, there was a flying balance device like a short leg. It was the foreign enemy that Yang Hui encountered in Lelouch's world. According to Yang Hui's battle records, this kind of snake is not a very difficult enemy to deal with. Every ace has the ability to kill it alone, but, according to Yang Hui's speculation, this form of snake is only the most basic miscellaneous soldier, and there are more advanced individuals above it, and this kind of enemy will use the pilot or host as food and fuel, becoming more and more powerful. Yang Hui speculated that the reason why he was able to kill the snake without any trouble in Lelouch's world was, firstly, because it was originally a broken individual with incomplete performance, secondly, because VV, as fuel, could not make it show its full strength. Now, there is more than one snake, and the vitality of his entreaty is not comparable to VV. So Maru did not hesitate and contacted Yang Hui in space. Snakes appear, 42 in number, requesting support. After receiving Maru's call for help, Yang Hui made a prompt decision and immediately ordered the 5th Fleet under Maru, the 1st Fleet led by Katie, and the 2nd Fleet led by Flick to immediately break into the atmosphere for support. At the same time, the Promise will also accompany it. The rest of the fleet will immediately set up a defense zone with the main island as the center to prevent snakes or Vajra that may appear directly in space. In the atmosphere, the Archangel immediately moved to its current position, suppressed the snake with artillery fire, and then came to the sky above the 33rd Marine Corps. Athrin and Kira immediately drove the Eternal Freedom Gundam and the Immortal Justice Gundam to fight with the snake, while others provided fire cover on the periphery, while Isaac and Nicole escorted the shuttle that Shirley and Lakis were riding back to the Archangel. Only in this way, they dared to fight with all their strength. What on earth is going on? Major Ajit also understood that these things were enemies, so he immediately commanded the 33rd Marine Corps to assist the MIS troops of the 25th Regiment to resist the enemy, but he had never seen the snake, and didn't know what it was. From the first reaction of Athrin and others, he guessed that the 25th Regiment knew the identity of these things, so he immediately sent an inquiry to the Archangel, in the air. Snake is an enemy. This is the relevant information we know. Please check it carefully. Malu had obtained Yang Hui's permission to provide the 33rd Marine Corps with information about Snake. After all, there is still a lot of unknown information about Snake, and the 33rd Marine Corps is also a strong force. Now is not the time to treat them differently. After receiving the information, Major Ajit immediately browsed it and began to sweat. The Zentradians claim to be a powerful civilization in the universe, but after seeing the incomplete information about Snake, they also called it a monster in their hearts. So he immediately ordered the 33rd Marine Corps to enter the first-level combat configuration, protect the warships to take off, and annihilate these monsters together with the 25th Fleet. Bang damn! How can the power be so strong? The specialized flame tiger holding a shield and taking a claw from Snake flew back violently. Lambalao looked at the monitor and saw that his entire left arm had turned yellow. His face was frighteningly black. His current body uses energy conversion technology, and the skeleton also uses the latest alloy. The defense and impact resistance are terrifyingly high, but he still almost had an arm taken away by a claw. Colonel R, don't be careless. Johnny Ridings, Flame Lightning, immediately came to the side of Specialized Flame Tiger, using large caliber live ammunition spray guns to force Snake back while leading Specialized Flame Tiger to retreat. The power of these monsters is marked. You are not Yang Hui. Humph. Just test its power. Lambalar understood Johnny Riding's meaning and told him not to learn from Yang Hui to use his body to test the opponent's various performance when he met an unknown enemy in battle. Is the left arm okay? Johnny Riding asked. It can still fight. Taking this opportunity, Lambalar used the system to check the condition of his left arm. It was just that the armor was a little deformed. Although the skeleton was impacted, it was still okay to continue fighting. Disperse. The voices of neither Lambalar nor Johnny Riding sounded in the communication channel, but the two were the first to execute after hearing the instructions. Just a second after the Specialized Flame Tiger and Flame Lightning spread out to the left and right, a snake appeared like a ghost at the place where they were just now, with its claws tearing the air. At this moment, a long-range energy cannon bombarded the snake, causing a violent explosion. What kind of structure are these monsters made of? They are so powerful, so fast, and can easily turn corners. Diego, who was providing fire support to Lambalal and Johnny Riding, complained loudly. They're all Graham. Really? Lambalal and Johnny Riding both agreed with this view. Isn't Graham the one who likes to play various fancy maneuvers in the air the most in the Legion? Others can't do it even if they want to. Diego. Left. Oh. It's really dangerous. Bang. Chapter 911. I hope I am wrong. Diego received the reminder from Lambalar and also felt the biological alarm coming from the left. Before the alarm of the machine body sounded, he controlled the Destruction Storm Gundam to turn around and hold the combined long gun in his hand horizontally. At the same time, the nozzle on the back of the machine body began to burst into fierce flames. Bang! At this moment, the giant claw of Snake slapped down, just blocked by the combined long gun. It was also because of the roar of the engine nozzle that Destruction Storm Gundam was not slapped away by this claw. It's really uncomfortable. Although Destruction Storm Gundam was not slapped away, the violent turbulence and the sudden change of inertia in the front and back directions made Diego in the cockpit quite uncomfortable. Along with the roar, the long gun in the hand of Destruction Storm Gundam began to tilt, unloading some of the power, allowing Snake's claws to pass from the side. While turning around, using the power of rotation and the nozzle on the leg to lift the right leg, it kicked Snake out fiercely. I have grown a lot. Diego looked at his masterpiece with a smile on his face. After joining Promise Fortress, he discovered his biggest problem: close-range hand-to-hand combat. Especially after he sparred with Yulin, Neil and other long-range fire support players, this fatal weakness became clearer. Once during his sparring with Yulin took the initiative to give up the super long-range sniping that never missed a shot, and instead took the initiative to get into his comfort zone. At the same time, he threw away his guns and gave up the GN Super Dragoon, only using the beam sword to fight him, and then defeated him, which made Diego feel ashamed and even depressed for quite a long time. After that, he began to take the initiative to pay attention to the group of monsters at the top of the pyramid in Promise Fortress, observing their battles, observing their combat styles and habits. After a closer look, he found that the aces at the top of the pyramid had no fatal shortcomings. Yang Hui, who is good at medium-range high-speed mobile shooting battles, is also very good at close combat and super long-range sniping and fire support. Yulin, who is good at ultra-long-range sniping and fire support, has been trying to improve her close combat skills. She doesn't say how powerful she is, just to ensure that she will not be left without a chance to fight back when the enemy gets close. Graham and Setsuna, who are good at close combat, T-Iria, who is good at heavy firepower bombardment, Alelija and Fleet, who are good at high-speed maneuvers. Everyone is trying to make up for their shortcomings. Therefore, Diego is also growing up. The long cannon gun fighting technique he used just now combines the combat response methods of Yulin, Neil, Lal and others. Ding ding ding. At this moment, a rapid alarm sounded from the cockpit of the Destroy Storm Gundam, and dozens of zigzag red energy rays from the side rushed straight to the face of the Destroy Storm Gundam. Boom boom boom. Don't be careless. Diego, you bastard. The smoke and dust from the explosion dissipated, and the Life and Death Duel Gundam held the heavy shield in front of its body with its auxiliary arms on its shoulders, blocking the deadly energy rays. The moment the shield separated, the rifle in its hand and the electromagnetic cannon on its shoulders fired in succession, all hitting the Snake. At the same time, the Destruction Storm Gundam emerged from the bottom of the Life and Death Duel Gundam in an upside-down posture, and the missile launch bays on its shoulders and legs fired all the bullets at the same time. The micro-missiles equipped with MDE warheads came into close contact with the Snake. Did I see you coming? Diego's laughter rang in Isaac's ears. Diego dared to stand there motionless because he saw that the Life and Death Duel Gundam and the Phantom Thunder Gundam had completed the escort mission and entered the battlefield. Humph. That's not a reason for you to be careless. Do you want to die? Bastard. Isaac fully demonstrated his tsundere attributes. He was obviously happy for his friend's trust, but he just wanted to curse. Yes, but, Nicole, it's time to finish, right? As soon as the voice fell, the two looked at the devouring light of the MDE bullet at the same time. The moment the incomplete but still alive Snake revealed its body, a cold light flashed, and Snake was cut in half. It was not until 1 or 2 seconds later that the body was completely separated, and the figure of Phantom Thunder Gundam appeared from the distorted air. Isaac, you should stay calm in the battle. Nicole knew that this was Isaac's character, but I still felt a little annoyed after hearing it too much. SHH awesome, one-hit kill. Diego whistled. The combination of Mirage System and Sunshade System, as well as the high-frequency vibration sword inlaid with fold crystals are really useful. Nicole couldn't help but praise it, especially the latter, the latest technology, which can really achieve endless success. Captain, they can't hold on any longer. She, Rambalal, and Johnny Riding worked together to kill a Snake, with difficulty, and then came to the side of Isaac and the other two, with a very serious expression. Although they all have the ability to kill, Snake, don't forget the premise. They are all ace pilots second only to the top ace. Even they need several people to kill one. The number of Snake that suddenly appeared this time is more than the number of miscarried by Archangel, so if most of the Snake were not chosen as the target because they were closer to the 33rd Marine Corps and were pinned down, they would not be as relaxed as they are now. And now, the 33rd Marine Corps, which has pinned down most of the Snake, is about to collapse. The ground forces are almost completely damaged, and they are only relying on the spaceship that has just left the sea to support them. Even so, they are already shaky. Damn. This bunch of rubbish. They are coming. Let's focus on destroying the scattered enemies. In the sky, dozens of fireballs broke into the atmosphere, some large and some small, and more than a dozen small fireballs fell towards the ground at a very fast speed. Tisk, did you really guess it? Although he had guessed it long ago, the sudden appearance of so many snakes that he had encountered before made Yang Hui's expression a little ugly. You are not still holding on to the idea of luck, are you? Graham asked Yang Hui jokingly. Of course not, I'm just unhappy. Yang Hui had already prepared himself mentally for the fact that the snakes he had faced were just miscellaneous soldiers, and he was lucky to have only encountered one, but it was still very worrying to think that such a powerful creature as snakes would form a super army of thousands to appear in front of him. This was also the first time that Yang Hui was eager to hope that his guess was completely wrong. After all, their ultimate mission in this world included destroying the army of snakes. Chapter 912 Declaration of War. Captain Ajit. We can't hold on any longer. The adjutant felt the warship swing, looked at the bright red casualty figures on the screen, and the friendly signal signs that dimmed one after another, and the emotion called despair rose in his heart. I know. But we must hold on. Major Ajit was also sweating profusely, with a look of despair on his face, but he had no other choice. From the intelligence, the snake was a real monster. He was mentally prepared to be unable to resist it at the beginning, but he didn't expect his troops to be defeated so quickly. Now the 33rd Marine Corps has stood on the edge of the cliff, and has no ability to move forward and leave the edge of the cliff. The snake is a monster that does not accept surrender and prisoners, and their friendly forces cannot escape either. They can only hold on until the reinforcements from the universe arrive. Escape? That's even more impossible. The current state of the spacecraft has lost the ability to break through the atmosphere, not to mention directly fold jump away from this place of trouble. But the adjutant also knew that what Major Ajit said was the only way at the moment, but he was desperate. The crumbling warship, the compatriots who died one after another, and the armor plates that kept falling off, they really couldn't hold on. It was at this time that the dawn of hope illuminated them, and the light of salvation fell from the sky. This is Yang Hui, the Commander-in-Chief of the 25th Fleet. Our fleet has entered the atmosphere and will immediately support your unit. Here it comes, the support of the 25th Fleet is coming. With eyes full of hope, they watch the fireballs break through the obstruction of the atmosphere and quickly fall to the ground. Among them, more than a dozen small fireballs were moving towards the warships they were on at a very fast speed. As the flames dissipated, the leading flag Gundam completed its transformation in the air and passed by two snakes. As the two cold rays flashed, each had a claw detached from the body, making a piercing scream. But the screams did not last long. A green halo suddenly appeared, and the silver glowing Gundam ELS rushed out of it. The sharp blade transformed by the ELS cut off the other claw at the same time. The body itself split into dozens of silver metal balls, which wriggled in the air and transformed into sharp blades, flying around the two snakes, and pierced their bodies and circled them at the moment when their bodies were about to crack and launch energy rays. Tisk, the two sides are too close, lock-in. Understood. Angel of Destruction, start sniping. While still falling from the sky, Angel of Destruction raised the sniper rifle in his hand, and live bullets shot out from the muzzle with a roar, hitting the snakes that climbed onto the battleship and tore the armor like a heavy punch, and the huge force took them off the surface of the battleship. As the reinforcements in the sky got closer and closer to the ground, the snakes also found that a greater threat was approaching, and immediately abandoned the dilapidated battleship and the almost completely destroyed 33rd Marine Corps around it, and launched a charge towards the fleet in the sky. Acting according to biological instinct, It seems that these most basic snakes have no wisdom. Yang Hui observed the action pattern of the snake, and made a judgment. He drew his sword, stretched his wings, and rushed towards the snake, at a very fast speed. Swish! The sword accurately inserted into the gap between the neck and the body, and as the arm turned a circle, the entire head was cut off. At the same time, an explosion occurred behind the Dawn Gundam, and a high explosive bomb fell on the snake behind it. The Dawn Gundam did not hesitate and twisted its body. The inertia of turning around brought huge power to the swinging arms, leaving hideous scars on the body of the snake. The scars slowly healed, and the claws closed towards the Dawn Gundam, from both sides, trying to crush the Dawn Gundam. That won't work. I can't let you succeed. In an instant, two cold lights flashed, and two G-Titans appeared beside the Dawn Gundam, and the sharp swords in their hands cut off the claws. At the same time, the Gundam Age 2+ descended in front of the snake, inserted the muzzles of the guns in both hands into the wounds that had not yet healed, and pulled the trigger. Boom! Two strong energy beams blasted a hideous hole in the snake. After destroying a snake, they immediately began to look for the next target without stopping. Under the cover of ship guns and ship-borne missiles, the snake was beaten back step by step. Before it could make any move, it was surrounded by airtight firepower. Before the smoke and dust dissipated, several mobile suits appeared beside it and killed it. How powerful is it? The surviving 33rd Marine Corps all looked up at the battle in the sky. As a fighting race, the Zentredi people had the idea of being unmatched and difficult to defeat for the first time. Captain Ogtai, we. The adjutant looked up at the sky in amazement, and a confused voice came out from his throat with difficulty. We are saved? Major Ajit saw hope, saw a way out for the surviving 33rd Marines, and the hand called hope that could pull them out of the abyss of despair. Captain Ajit, do we still need to participate in the battle? The adjutant came to his senses and asked Major Ajit. Although they were the rescued party, and the 33rd Marines were already severely damaged and had little combat power, the gene for fighting engraved in the DNA of the Zentredi people also awakened when they saw the passionate battle in the sky. 33rd Marines, listen up. Assist the friendly forces on the ground to clean up the remaining enemies. Major Ajit was the same as the adjutant and other surviving soldiers. He was also eager to participate in this magnificent battle, but he also remained sober and knew that the 33rd Marines could not provide much help to the battlefield in the sky, so he chose a compromise method to participate in the battle without being dragged down or suffering greater losses. Yes. XN. Before long, only 2 or 3 cats and kittens were left out of the dozens of snakes surrounded by the Promise Corps, waiting to be killed. But at this moment, the change happened again. On Gallia 4, far away from the 33rd Marine Corps, a strange scream that pierced the nerve suddenly came, and the surviving snakes seemed to have been summoned, breaking out in the same direction at the moment when the battle stopped. With a tremor of the earth, an extremely huge meat cocoon suddenly appeared in the distance, and then turned into a giant snake that was coiled in a ball. The spiral lines climbed up with the body, and the fine scales covered the whole body. At the top was a hideous and terrifying snake head, and the scarlet eyes were locked on the Promise Corps. And beside the huge coiled giant snake, there were also countless snakes, soldiers flying, and even the few surviving snakes that had just escaped joined their ranks. The battle stopped for a while, and no one took the lead in launching an attack until a purple-red halo appeared around them. The huge, coiled giant snake entered the fold jump channel with countless miscellaneous soldiers. Although we don't know who you are, but we are ready. This is a formal declaration of war, unknown, you. Looking at the snake leaving, Yang Hui did not give the order to attack, but watched them leave with everyone else. Dawn Gundam raised the sword in his hand, pointed at the opponent, and issued a formal declaration of war. Thank you for correcting many typos in the previous article. Now there should be a reader correction function, so you don't have to point them out separately in the comment area, and I can also find the error in the first time and modify it directly. If possible, please use this reader correction function more often. Thank you. Chapter 913 Harvest and Failure. After the battle, the Promise Corps descended and temporarily used the damaged 33rd Marine Corps base as their own base. Looking at the bodies lying in front of them, Major Ogata and the survivors of the 33rd Marine Corps were sad and heavy-hearted, especially the relatively intact and completely shriveled bodies. They had a lot of questions and a lot of sadness in their hearts, all of which were blocked in their hearts and could not be expressed. At this time, the Dawn Gundam slowly landed on the ground with a group of Ms. Yang Hui left the cockpit and came to Major Ajite. Major Ajite, I am Yang Hui, the Commander-in-Chief of the 25th Fleet. Commander Yang Hui, thank you very much for your rescue. I am the captain of the 33rd Marine Corps, Major Ajite. Mornings. Yang Hui saw the sadness on Major Ajite's face and said sincerely, "Thank you, Commander Yang Hui." Although Ajite was only a major captain, he was not stupid. He started with the people below making trouble and forcing him to contact the new unified government and Shirley Lu to hold a concert for them. The time was just right when Shirley Lu was seriously ill. He had just landed and was about to launch a coup. When he was about to suppress it, a sudden change occurred. The members of the troublemaking group turned into monsters called Snake of the Body, without exception. All this was too coincidental, just like a carefully written script. This made Major Ajite certain that there must be someone behind the troublemaking group, and there was a mastermind behind all this. Although he could not guess the other party's purpose, he did not intend to let this grudge go. Please hand over your mutated remains to us. We need to study their remains. Yang Hui said to Ajite. This was not a request, but a request. Okay, but I have a request. Major Ajite said to Yang Hui seriously. Please go ahead. As you can see. Major Ajite looked around the ruined garrison, his eyes swept over the surviving compatriots. The garrison was destroyed, and the survivors could no longer support the establishment of the 33rd Marine Corps. My request is that the 33rd Marine Corps be incorporated into the 25th Fleet and obey your orders, but the next time we encounter the Snake of the Body, my people and I will take the lead. Not all Zentradians are crazy and warlike, but there is one thing they are right about, the gene of fighting is engraved in their DNA. Seeing so many compatriots die on the spot because of someone's conspiracy, anger rises in their chests. Happy cooperation. Yang Hui nodded. He knew very well that the surviving 33rd Marine Corps was not conquered by them, they just wanted revenge, so this was a deal. Although the 33rd Marine Corps suffered heavy losses and its reputation among the Zentradians was not very good, their combat effectiveness was worthy of recognition, which was also a significant supplement to the 25th Fleet. Happy cooperation. Under the current circumstances, the concert could not be held, and the 25th Fleet had no reason to stay in Gallia 4. They helped the 33rd Marine Corps to repair their warships and repair the damaged hulls, so that they had the ability to break through the atmosphere. The Promise Corps and the 33rd Marine Corps left Gallia 4 and returned to the universe. After returning to the universe, Yang Hui handed the 33rd Marine Corps to Rebel to range, and he found the Special Forces formation led by Cruz who returned at the same time. How is the situation? Yang Hui asked immediately. The first goal was achieved, and the second goal failed. Cruz's expression was not very good. Although he did not let Grace's conspiracy succeed this time, and stop Grace before she was about to fight to the death and activate the killer, his mission was only half completed. Come with me. Now it is still in public, and it is obviously not appropriate to talk about the actions of the Special Forces. Yang Hui and Cruz went all the way to the Commander-in-Chief's office, closed all the doors and windows, and activated a shielding device to prevent the news from leaking. I have sent Grace's body to the research department, along with her final trump card, the Dimension Devourer. When talking about the Dimension Devourer, Cruz's expression was particularly ugly, because he was frightened at the time. The Dimension Devourer, a strategic-level weapon that was powerful enough to destroy a planet, was banned from use in both the old and new unified governments. This was not just a nominal ban, but the unified government was afraid of the terrible power of this weapon. When the Dimension Devourer was successfully developed, the entire project was immediately stopped and all research data and traces were destroyed. In addition to the experimental bombs for the test explosion, the unified government only produced 2, which are currently stored in a secret warehouse on Earth as the final means that can only be used when the survival of mankind is at stake. He never expected that Grace got one from somewhere and placed it not far from the 33rd Marine Corps station in Gallia 4. Once activated, Gallia 4 will forever become a crescent, and everyone in the 33rd Marine Corps station will be wiped out. Fortunately, Cruz was quick-witted and stopped Grace before she was about to perish together with him. Otherwise, not to mention the Archangel and the shuttle that Shirley and Lakis were riding on, The subsequent support fleet that landed would also be completely destroyed, and the Promise Corps would face the biggest and irreparable loss since its establishment. What about the second goal? Yang Hui asked. This time, Cruz led the commandos to secretly land Gallia 4, not only to capture Grace and stop her conspiracy, but also the Macros Global, the fourth ship of Macros that fell but remained relatively intact, was also an important target. Because before Yang Hui came to this world, he was planning to use Macros-class battleships to replace all the existing battleships of the Promise Corps, but Macros battleships are also quite precious in this world, and you can't get them just because you want to, let alone in large quantities. So Yang Hui had an idea to use the swallowing and learning ability of ELS to swallow Macros Global. According to the ELS rules of Promise Fortress, unlike the ELS in the Gundam world, which can be transformed directly after being swallowed, or even split to create countless identical existences, it can also immediately obtain all the technologies and related designs of Macros Global, and can unlock Macros Global in the research and production areas without consuming any resources. Not only that, after Macros Global fell on Gallia 4, it became the nest of Vajra. This size of nest is completely incomparable to the small nests discovered before. Once this nest can be obtained, the research on Vajra will advance by leaps and bounds. However, Cruz failed. It is now certain that Grace's target is not only the Queen of Vajra, but also the group of snakes. Cruz said seriously. Chapter 914. What I've always wanted to do. There must be a connection between the snake and Grace and the others. Before I arrived, the dozens of snakes that appeared at the beginning had already started to attack, but after I killed her, the large snake appeared. Before she died, I saw her laughing. Hearing this, Yang Hui felt a headache. It was already a big crisis for Grace and the others to control the Queen of Vajra. Now even the snake has appeared. Before they can solve Vajra's troubles, the difficulty of completing the task has doubled. The information about the snake is still very lacking. At present, we still only know the information I have sorted out before. The remains of the Devoureds in Treaty have been sent to the research department. I hope to find some useful information. There is too little information. I feel threatened by that huge snake. Cruz said. Same. As Yang Hui nodded, the two of them fell silent at the same time. If Cruz did not devote all his energy to improving his personal strength, which led to his personal strength lagging behind, then Yang Hui said this, which was enough to show how dangerous the huge snake of the body was. To be frank, according to the current situation, among all the enemies they have encountered, no single individual can make Yang Hui feel threatened. And now, it appeared. What about Macros Global? Yang Hui broke the silence after a minute or two. That huge snake of the body. You mean? That's right. Cruz nodded. My people had already broken into Macros Global. Although they encountered Vajra's attack, they also successfully arrived at the central control room. The companion ELS has begun to carry out erosion operations, but... Remember the list and go back to inform their families. I will go in person. The main responsibility for the failure of this mission is me. Generally speaking, Cruz's intelligence department and scavenger team are mostly composed of people recruited from the current world. Only the core senior executives and the trump card team in his hands are members of the Promise Legion. On the one hand, this kind of work is not allowed to be seen in the light, and the threat coefficient is also the highest. Each member who can come to the Promise Corps is an elite from each world. It is painful to die one of them, not to mention letting them do such an extremely dangerous job. The members recruited locally do not have this worry. Anyway, they are not on the list of Cruz's companions. If they die, they die. Even if Cruz is abandoned directly, there will be no regrets. On the other hand, the members who can join the Promise Corps are their companions and comrades in arms. If possible, this dark and dangerous work cannot be assigned to them. But the situation of the 25th Fleet is too special. Cruz's range of activities is limited to the 25th Fleet. How many qualified and trustworthy people can be found? So this time, Cruz's intelligence network and scavenger team are all members of the Promise Corps, and the Rangers entering Macros Global are even more so. Although Cruz did not finish his words, Yang Hui also understood what Cruz meant. These people have all been sacrificed. Zion, how much progress has the erosion progress reached? Yang Hui closed his eyes and communicated with Zion on his neck through brain quantum waves. 15%, Nothing useful. I see. How is it going? Kreutzer saw Yang Hui open his eyes and knew that his communication was over, so he asked. Nothing useful. Yang Hui relayed the thought to Kreutzer. We need more preparations. Kreutzer said. Well, I've given the order. I'll go to Lai later. Several projects should be accelerated. I'll send someone to keep an eye on the 33rd Marine Corps to prevent them from causing trouble again. Thank you for your hard work. That person. Get rid of him. With such a big loss, someone should be buried with him. Yang Hui said the cruelest words in the most calm tone, which was also a verdict on Leon Mishima. Originally, Yang Hui and Kreutzer both planned to keep Leon Mishima. After all, they had lost the trace of grace, and Brarastern couldn't be easily activated. Moreover, they guessed that there would not be much to gain if they were activated, so they wanted to see if Leon Mishima, who had a cooperative relationship with Grace, could lure Grace out. But now, because of their indulgence in conspiracy, the Legion members suffered heavy losses. Whether rationally or emotionally, they made the same decision to execute Leon Mishima. At this time, Leon Mishima was still in the secret room on the bottom floor of the main island, but he was laughing like crazy because he had received rewards from his collaborators. Although this plan did not achieve the expected purpose, it also brought unknown losses to Yang Hui's people, which filled Leon Mishima's heart with the pleasure of revenge. Ho ha ho ha. You deserve it. You excluded me. You looked down on me. Look. Nothing happened to me now. But a lot of your people died. Ha ha ha. But, it's not enough, not enough. Yang Hui, Wang Liumi, yes, and that old guy Howard, just wait, I will definitely take back what belongs to me. Then, he, ha 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 ha. Click at this moment, the heavy door suddenly opened. Leon Mishima looked over in panic, and saw a group of fully armed people rushing in. Not only were their guns pointed at him, but two of them were pinning him to the ground. You bastards? Do you know who I am? I am the chief assistant to the president. I will put you in jail. I will shoot you. The people who caught him ignored the barking like a mad dog. After confirming that this was their mission target, they took him away and put a hood on him all the way, so that he didn't know where he had come to after all the twists and turns. Until, it's you. The discomfort of taking off the hood quickly disappeared, and Leon Mishima saw the person in front of him clearly. Mr. Mishima, we meet again. Cruz wore a mask, and the corners of his mouth were raised with an evil and dangerous arc. Laolu Cruz. 78 people. What? Leon Mishima didn't understand why Cruz suddenly said a number, and didn't understand the meaning of the number at all, but he could clearly feel that everyone around him was furious after the number appeared. There are 78 Rangers members who died in Macros Global, 52 ELS companions, a total of 130 companions who failed to come back. Cruz kept laughing, but his laughter frightened Leon Mishima. Cruz it, what do you want to do? Nothing. Bang! As soon as the words fell, in front of Leon Mishima's unbelievable eyes, a bullet had already pierced his forehead. I just want to do what I have always wanted to do. Bang bang! 2 more shots hit Leon Mishima's chest. After finishing, he put away the gun, gave a look to the subordinates around him, and watched Leon Mishima's body being sent into the space jettison. After being completely frozen in the universe, he turned around and left with his men. Chapter 915 Zioin's Growth. Yang Hui came to Lai Company. This time, no one welcomed Yang Hui's arrival. Instead, they focused on their own research work. Although they were not frontline combat personnel, they also felt the urgency of time. In front of them was Vajra, a super creature at the level of the universe's overlord, and behind them was Snake of the Body, an enemy full of unknowns and no possibility of communication. They had to complete the project in their hands as soon as possible to strengthen the strength of the Legion. There is not much progress. When Yang Hui came to his side, Billy Katajiri just looked up at him and continued to work. He had a lot of projects in his hands, but it was only a few days since he reported the research results to Yang Hui last time. There was no big breakthrough in a short period of time. Yang Hui wanted to pat Billy Katajiri on the shoulder, asking him to relax a little and not be so nervous, but the raised hand froze in midair and did not pat it down, but was retracted and put down. Where's Luo? Why hasn't he come to help yet? Billy Katajiri asked anxiously. If his project is successful, the defense of the MIS will increase by 5 percentage points, and the pilot's survival rate will also increase by 8 percentage points. Call him back to help quickly, we don't have enough manpower. Luo is injured and is still in the treatment room. His hands, which were jumping rapidly on the keyboard, stopped, and Billy Katajiri turned abruptly and looked at Yang Hui. Is he okay? It's a minor injury. It's just that the violent impact caused a fracture in his right arm. Oh, that's good. Hearing that Luo was fine, Billy Katajiri was relieved, but immediately changed to an expression of disappointment. That bastard is not wearing a pilot's suit again, right? And the fixing device of the cockpit seat has been removed, right? That bastard. I've warned him so many times. He just didn't know how to change it. He said that driving in Miz in a pilot's suit and fixed on the seat is soulless. As a result, his soul almost left his body this time. Are you satisfied? I believe he will learn a lesson after this time. Yang Hui hurried to calm Billy Katajiri's excitement. HMPH. That bastard who does whatever he wants, no, someone must be found to control him. Billy Katajiri thought of the two people in the Legion who disliked wearing a driving suit the most. One of them has already found someone who can control him, and the last one must also be controlled by someone. Okay, I'll arrange it. Yang Hui quickly agreed. By the way, what are you doing here? Billy Katajiri asked Yang Hui. After all, Yang Hui is also a researcher. He knows very well that he can't make a breakthrough in a short time, so there is no need for him to come. The situation is not optimistic. We need to speed up. Yang Hui said to Billy Katajiri seriously. I can't do it. Billy Katajiri is of course very clear that the current situation is more critical. All research projects need to be accelerated, but there are not enough people, which is a flaw. Has the VF-27 been dismantled? Yang Hui asked Billy Katajiri. Not yet, there is simply no time. In Billy Katajiri's eyes, the VF-27 is a very outstanding machine. Whether it is mobility, firepower or defense, it far exceeds the VF-25, but there is a fatal flaw, that is, the performance is too high, so no pilot can control it, especially when performing intense maneuvers. The G-force generated is unbearable, even with the ISC system. This shortcoming is absolutely true for humans in this world. Unless the human body is biochemically modified, it is impossible to withstand such a huge G-force. However, this limitation is better than nothing for the members of the Promise Corps. Not to mention that special bloodlines such as the Transformer and NT have the effect of strengthening physical fitness, and all members of the Corps have experienced countless training and battles. With the blessing of the Promise Fortress, their physical fitness has long exceeded the limit of humans. And, most importantly, the main weapon of the VF-27 is the heavy quantum beam cannon. A weapon with the same structure as the heavy quantum reaction cannon of the Macros Quarter, a super weapon that miniaturizes the main gun of the Macros battleship. If it can be successfully mass-produced and replace the current standard equipment of the Promise Corps, it will be a huge improvement. I will take over the analysis of VF-27, you don't have to worry about it. Yang Hui said to Billy Katajiri. How many people are needed? I am enough. You alone. Billy Katajiri frowned. Yang Hui's research ability is indeed very high. Except for the group of masters staying in the Promise Fortress, no one can compare to him, but he can't be responsible for a project alone. No, it's possible, but it will definitely take a long time, but what they lack most now is time. I will let Xiaoyan swallow it. Send out the ELS directly. Billy Katajiri was shocked. Using ELS to swallow unknown technology and directly log into the database of the Research Institute of the Promise Fortress is the most convenient way, but this method is generally not used. Because the greatest value of scientific researchers lies in research and development. The most important thing for the research and extended development of an unknown technology is the theoretical basis. Therefore, after obtaining new technology, scientific researchers will learn new theoretical knowledge, and then analyze and disassemble the existing unknown technology bit by bit, combining practice with theory to fully control the technology, which is also conducive to the later extended development and enhanced transformation. Not enough time, not enough manpower, this is the only way. Yang Hui said helplessly. If the threat they were facing was not too great, Yang Hui would not be willing to use such a tricky method. I know. Billy Katajiri stood up and came to the VF-27 storage warehouse with Yang Hui. Looking at this relatively well-preserved purple fighter, Yang Hui closed his eyes without hesitation. Xiaoyan, please. Well, leave it to me. The silver necklace flew away from Yang Hui's neck and attached to the surface of VF-25, dissolving like a pool of liquid. Gradually, it enveloped the entire body of VF-25, shrinking and shrinking until it completely disappeared. Yang Hui, whose body had shrunk again into a small ball of liquid, flew back to Yang Hui's neck and turned into an identical necklace. 32 minutes and 25 seconds, Yang Hui, your speed has improved. Yang Hui praised with his brain quantum waves. This is also your improvement, Yang Hui. Yang Hui replied to Yang Hui with his excited brain quantum waves. You and I have a companion relationship, and your improvement will directly affect me, which means, you are only a quarter of a foot away from that step. Well, you've worked hard, pass on your gains to me. Okay. The next second, all the structures of VF-27 kept emerging in Yang Hui's mind, not a single detail was left out, and the entire VF-27 seemed to be completely disassembled, leaving Yang Hui with an area belonging to VF-27. It's amazing. I didn't expect that this method was used to shrink the heavy quantum reaction cannon. It has such a terrible output. Pure brute force to produce miracles? It's a bit flashy. Got it. Billy Katagiri asked when Yang Hui opened his eyes. Yes, I got all of them. Pure brute force to produce miracles. Except for the heavy quantum beam cannon, it doesn't have much significance. I will immediately. At this time, Yang Hui's communication rang. Seeing that it was a call from Lux, he immediately answered, Lux, what's wrong? Yang Hui, Grace is back. Hearing this, Yang Hui's pupils shrank. Chapter 916, please introduce your friends? In a shuttle that was floating in the meteorite area not far from the 25th Fleet, the darkness was broken by the suddenly lit up incubator, and countless pipes connected the body and the incubator. Start recontact. Wait, it feels like it's not connected yet. But it has to be quick, the situation is evolving, how can we miss this opportunity? Do you want me to give you the initiative? Forget it, you're welcome, that was originally made according to your body shape. For a moment, in a certain electronic space, or, in the consciousness network center of the G Fleet, various different voices rang out, including men and women, old and young, some lively and cute, some mature and steady, some old and frail, and some casual and frivolous. And Grace was one of these countless consciousnesses. Haha, I got it, confirm the fold connection, start downloading. As the instruments next to it continued to download data into this empty shell body, an intact Grace opened her eyes. Okay, wake up, the other me, no, it's us. I've already told you that I'm fine, why do you need such a complicated examination? Of course it's for your own good, surely, who told you to be so stubborn? Speaking of being stubborn, I don't think you have the right to say that to me, Lux, what were you thinking? You actually left the protection to persuade the enemy to surrender, I was really scared of you, okay. I'm not being stubborn, I'm just doing what I should do, don't forget that I'm the peace songstress. Even so. Well, you too, this is a hospital, quarrels are not good. As soon as Yang Hui walked into the ward, he saw Shirley and Lux arguing. Grace, as if nothing had happened, still had a gentle and helpless expression as she tried to persuade the two of them, but Grace, talk to Lux too. She was like that, huh? What's wrong with you? Shirley saw Grace's expression suddenly stiffen, and asked worriedly. No, nothing, I just didn't expect the trip I arranged for you to be so dangerous, I feel a little guilty. Grace pretended to be calm and smiled, revealing a guilty expression, and the hands behind her back also broke free from the restraints of a certain hand. I feel guilty, you finally got the opportunity to take a vacation, but you still have to worry about my affairs. Shirley Lu didn't notice anything unusual, and answered self-blamingly. Since you feel guilty, then you should take good care of your health and stop worrying people. Yang Hui? When did you come? Shirley Lu looked up suddenly and saw Yang Hui, who was blocked by Grace. The feeling of surprise and sweetness instantly surged in her heart. After all, Yang Hui was the commander-in-chief of the 25th Fleet. A major war had just happened. As the commander-in-chief of the entire army, Yang Hui should be the busiest, but he was able to take time to visit her. Just when the two big stars were arguing, Yang Hui shrugged, glanced at Grace inconspicuously, and watched the nurse who took blood for Shirley Lu push the sample out of the ward. That's right. That's it. Yang Hui, you should also talk to Lux. That's too dangerous. I really don't know what she thinks. Shirley complained angrily. She didn't want her finally made friend to be in danger. You should take good care of yourself. Yang Hui pinched Shirley's pretty face in annoyance, and taught her earnestly, luxury knows what she is doing, she can grasp the right measure, but you should rest well when you are sick, why hold a concert? You are treating me differently. Shirley retorted unconvincedly. What do you mean Lux can grasp the right measure? Can't I? Because it's you who is lying in the hospital, not Lux. Yang Hui teased. "Ma, I'm ignoring you." Shirley was angry, covered with a quilt, and turned her back to Yang Hui. Ha ha ha, you should take good care of yourself. Your fans are very worried when they know you are in the hospital. Yang Hui comforted her. That's why I should be discharged from the hospital as soon as possible. Shirley muttered while wrapped in a quilt. That won't do, Miss Grace. Given Shirley's current physical condition, I suggest that you cancel all recent work schedules and let her recover first. Yang Hui pretended to know nothing and said to Grace. Okay, Mr. Yang Hui, that's what I mean. Grace nodded. She had this plan originally. Little Queen's ability has not been fully determined. She wanted to take this opportunity to calm Shirley down and give Li Lanho more opportunities to show her ability to determine her ability. Wait, how can you do this? I don't agree. Shirley lifted the quilt and glared at the two people who had arranged everything for her. Opposition is invalid. After all, it was Mr. Yang Hui's request. Grace smiled sweetly and walked out of the ward. Then I will help you cancel the work. Shirley, you should take good care of your illness. I'm a little thirsty. I'll go buy a bottle of water to drink. Miss Grace, do you mind walking a distance with me? Seeing that Grace was about to leave, Yang Hui also took this opportunity to talk to Grace alone. It's my honor, Mr. Yang Hui. Wait. Shirley was helpless and could only watch the two people who had arranged their own fate leave the ward, leaving only the smiling black-bellied monster to accompany her. Under Lux's kind smile, Shirley could only lie down on the bed obediently. On the other side, Yang Hui did not go to buy water as he said, and Grace did not rearrange Shirley's schedule as she said. The two walked side by side and came to the empty rooftop. What a courage, you dare to appear in front of us. Yang Hui looked at Grace with a cold face. He really didn't expect that Grace, whose identity had been exposed, would dare to return to the 25th Fleet instead of finding a place to hide and secretly carry out their plan. Mr. Yang Hui, you are too kind. I am Shirley's agent. Shirley is still in the 25th Fleet. When the vacation is over, I will naturally come back. Grace replied calmly, as if she didn't know what Yang Hui was talking about, and her answer was not on the same channel. Haha, your vacation is really grand. Yang Hui sneered. There are too many dull moments in life. I just want a different vacation. Different vacations naturally lead to different friends, don't you think so, Miss Grace? Of course, the other party is too enthusiastic, I can't refuse. What a coincidence, I also like warm and hospitable friends, can Miss Grace introduce me to one? It's not a coincidence, Sir Yang Hui, my friends are only enthusiastic towards those they like, and they are still very cold to others. I have to give it a try, what if I like them too? Yang Hui shrugged and said a little rogue. This. I can only ask them first, Sir Yang Hui. Grace shrugged with a helpless expression, then leaned close to Yang Hui's ear. No one except Yang Hui could see that her face once again showed an evil and twisted smile, but they said that they hate visitors from a certain fortress, Yang Hui. Commander. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 917 Extremely Dangerous Reconnaissance Mission. He and Grace separated at the hospital entrance and got into different cars, but the moment the door closed, Yang Hui's face darkened and became terrifyingly gloomy. Your expression is very rare. What did she say? Graham, who was driving for Yang Hui, asked Yang Hui. We have been exposed. Yang Hui said. The situation has reached a most serious point. The smiles on Graham's face and Cruz's face in the co-pilot seat disappeared at the same time. When they received the mission, they had expected that the enemy they would face this time would no longer be the intruders they had encountered before or the native communicative races like ELS that would have appeared originally, but the army sent by the enemy behind the scenes that they had always known but had no intelligence about. The other party had destroyed the Promise Fortress, and perhaps more than once, so they must have a good understanding of the intelligence of the Promise Fortress. Once they came into contact with a certain force in the native world, the true identity of Yang Hui and others would naturally have no secrets, so they were prepared for the worst and would face the disadvantage of the enemy being in the dark and us being in the light for the first time. Fortunately, we dealt with him in advance. Fortunately, this group of people didn't tell him our intelligence, otherwise it might really cause a lot of trouble. Cruz was talking about Leon Mishima. If this person knew that Yang Hui and his men were not the surviving fleet of the Fourth Fleet, but visitors from other worlds, he would definitely take this opportunity to cause a big commotion, and it might even make the 25th Fleet and the Promised Legion hostile. Don't underestimate human xenophobia. This is human nature. Even humans from the same world will exclude each other, not to mention humans from different worlds. It was an accidental chess move, but the challenges we face are still not much easier. Yang Hui said seriously. If you ask me, can't we just kill her? Graham made a statement that matched his personality. It is because she is fearless that she dares to return to our site, right? Just like Old Man Iria, Shiaria, and Regita, they can survive by changing their bodies. It's really troublesome. Yang Hui couldn't help cursing. If it was one of his own people, this would be a very important insurance measure, but the enemy now has the same means, which makes Yang Hui very disgusted. What else did she say? Cruz asked Yang Hui. The only thing that is certain is that they are connected to the snake of the body, and the connection is very close. Nothing else can be found. She is just a female vixen. Okay, it seems that we have to keep an eye on her. We can't let her disappear again. The research department had better find the location of the Consciousness Network Center as soon as possible. We can't let this threat continue to ferment. Cruz strongly suggested. It's because we can't find it that I have such a headache. Yang Hui covered his forehead and slumped in the back seat. The Promise Corps has never given up the work of finding the Consciousness Network Center, but there has been no clue. Otherwise, they would have been sent away with a reaction bomb to prevent them from making trouble. Cruz, strengthen the protection around Lan Hui. Although the starting point is different, Grace also intends to stop all of Shirley's activities. I guess she should focus her actions on Lan Hui. Lan Hui is one of the important trump cards for our alliance with Vajra. We must not let her succeed. Yang Hui gave instructions to Cruz. Understood. Cruz accepted the order. Lan Hui is indeed one of the few trump cards they can use now, and one of the keys to winning this mission. Graham, you return to the Promise. The Promise will set off first along the scheduled route of the 25th Fleet, and conduct reconnaissance along the way to see if the destination is really Vajra's home planet, and is Galaxy also hidden nearby? Just the Promise. Graham frowned. Although he was never afraid of danger and always maintained confidence and momentum, it did not mean that he was willing to die. To be honest, in a war of civilizations between races, a warship and a ship full of elite trump cards are just a tiny speck of dust. This kind of assault reconnaissance mission is really too risky. Yes, it's the Prosme. A large fleet is too easy to expose its whereabouts and easily cause misunderstandings on the other side. A warship is easier to escape. Considering the degree of danger, I feel most at ease if you go. Yang Hui said. Don't forget the fold fault. Vajra is not affected by the fold fault. If it is blocked, we can't escape. Graham asked. We have successfully built a test machine for the new engine that is not affected by the fold fault. We will be able to complete the transformation of the Promise and the Miz within a week. We also have a new fold communication system that can achieve more than 10 times the real-time communication. And you are on a reconnaissance mission this time. If you see the situation is not good, retreat immediately. Leave it to us. Graham knew that Yang Hui was the most sentimental person. Everyone on the Promise was Yang Hui's most important companion, and Baki Lulu was Yang Hui's wife. He could not give them an order to die, and such a radical approach. It also shows that Yang Hui really can't think of any other way. As companions, Graham and his team have to do more than just fight. They also need to share the pressure for Yang Hui at critical moments. Please, everyone come back safely. Yang Hui said to Graham seriously. Who do you think you are talking to? Graham received Yang Hui's concern and worry, but to be honest, he and Yang Hui are not suitable for this kind of sensationalism. Also, No one has ever told you that sensationalism is disgusting. Tisk, a dog can't spit out every. Yang Hui rolled his eyes and cursed unhappily, but, thank you. Graham and Cruz smiled at the words. For someone like Yang Hui who likes to carry everything on his shoulders, ordinary comfort and advice are useless. Only by confronting him like this can he relax a little. In the end, you are just a jerk. X2 Graham and Cruz said to Yang Hui at the same time. Who told you that you can't beat me? Yang Hui had a playful smile on his face, and spread his hands in a very annoying way. My skin is itchy and no one is there to take care of it. I am so distressed. What should I do? Well, looking at someone who is asking for a beating, Graham and Cruz looked at each other expressionlessly and took out their pads at the same time in tacit understanding. Wait, what are you doing? Send a copy of the recording to Wong and the others. No. We'll die. We'll really die. Stop it. On the other side, Grace stood on the roof of a shopping mall, looking at the unobstructed scenery, and kept communicating with her compatriots in her mind. Is it really okay to be exposed now? They don't need evidence. Indeed, but should we rule them out first? This variable is too big. It's too late. If the collaborator is still alive, he can still be of some use. Even if it is announced now, no matter how much evidence there is, it will be meaningless. That's right, they can only rely on them. This has become an established fact. But we can't let them stay stable like this. Don't forget their evaluation of them. The terrible growth rate, the endless trump cards, the will to live and die. Make some arrangements. Don't let them be too comfortable. Chapter 918, Collective Efforts to Create a Time Difference. The three of them came to the large conference room at the base. All senior members of the Promise Corps were present, including Wang Liumi, who was in charge of the political circle, and fleet commanders such as Rebellier, Fleet, Cheyenne, and Katie. First, Yang Hui summarized all the recent gains of the research department and the intelligence department and told everyone present, especially the intelligence, about the snake. The large number of small snake, codenamed snake eggs, that appeared at the beginning, and the data on strength, speed, defense, and armament were calculated and analyzed based on the combat records. The huge snake, codenamed Snake King, because there was no direct contact, there was no relevant data, only analysis and speculation. I believe everyone is aware of the threats we are facing. Yang Hui stood on the podium and played the images of Vajra and Snake on the big screen. Vajra and Snake. In the next period of time, we are likely to be besieged by both forces at the same time. What a disaster. Vajra is okay, at least the intelligence is complete, but the intelligence on Snake is too lacking. The most frustrating thing is that the culprit is right in front of us, but we can't do anything about her. The environmental restrictions of this mission are really too great. After everyone whispered for a while, Yang Hui continued, so, instead of sitting and waiting to die, it is better to take the initiative. After the transformation of the battleship and the body is completed, the Promise and the MIS troops on board will immediately set off to carry out strong reconnaissance missions along the scheduled route of the 25th Fleet to determine whether the focus of the route is the Vajra home planet and the existence of the Vajra Queen. Is this too reckless? Rabir asked with a frown. Although the others did not speak, they also supported Rabir's opinion with silence. Let's not talk about how far the 25th Fleet is from the destination of the scheduled route. If the destination is really Vajra's home planet, the Promise will face Vajra's super army. This is a situation where the entire Prosmi Corps is likely to be wiped out. Just one Prosmi is doomed to die. I suggest that my fleet go with a Prosmi to carry out the reconnaissance mission together. Gerhardt said. If it's just Vajra, and under the premise that the other party will not kill them all, one fleet responsible for support is enough. Fleet analyzed, and then expressed his own opinion, but the threat of Snake cannot be ignored. Now it can be confirmed that Grace and the others have a close connection with Snake. According to predictions, the missing galaxy is likely to be near the end point, so at least 3 fleets must act at the same time to provide effective support and security for Promise. My fleet can go. My fleet can also go. It just happened to complete the routine defense mission and has nothing else to do in the short term. Malu and Katie volunteered one after another. On the one hand, as they said, their fleet had just completed the handover work and had no other tasks in the short term. On the other hand, Baki Lulu is their sister, and they can't watch Baki Lulu take this risk. This is indeed the safest way, but have you ever thought that our actions are too big? Grace discovered the abnormality in advance, and set up an ambush during the reconnaissance operation. Cruz reminded everyone present. This is indeed a very serious problem. Although Grace is still an agent, if Yang Hui and his team take confidentiality measures, Grace will not easily know the purpose of their military operations. However, if the action is too big, Grace will definitely be able to detect the abnormality. Even if she is not sure of the final goal, she can guess one or two. This reconnaissance mission is already quite dangerous, and the enemy has set a trap. It is really a dead end. But if the Prosme acts alone, the risk is too high. We can't afford this price, Rabir said, and the others nodded in agreement. Yang Hui is in shackles, and his wives are the key. If any of them gets into trouble, Yang Hui will go crazy. Moreover, 80% of the top trump cards are concentrated on the Prosme, and each of them is a top combat force on the verge of breaking through the A level. The loss of any one of them is irreparable. Let's select a group of volunteers from each fleet. Then everyone will go. Pick the best from the best. But their capabilities are not enough. If the Promise has a 5% success rate, there's a 0. How about this? Yang Hui thought carefully about everyone's suggestions and came up with a compromise. Katie, Malu, and Fleet, lead your fleets to perform long-distance patrol missions in 3 different directions, with the 25th Fleet as the center and a radius of 10 light-years. The Promise will mix in Fleet's frontal fleet. After each arrives at the patrol area, the Promise will leave the fleet and perform reconnaissance missions alone, while you each maintain your current distance and move forward with the 25th Fleet. Well, this is a good idea. After careful consideration, everyone felt that this method was feasible. The distance of 10 light-years was not far. After using the new engine that was not affected by the fold, it would only take 10 minutes to support across 10 light-years. Moreover, even if the scale was large, Grace would not be able to guess their final goal so quickly if she noticed it. After all, long-distance reconnaissance and patrol were also the daily tasks of the fleet. And being far away from the 25th Fleet, our action restrictions were much less, and the range of activities could be expanded. Fleet said. Being 10 light-years away from the 25th Fleet, Grace and the others could not be the first to know about their actions. They could create a good time difference and complete the task as much as possible. At the same time, Yang Hui was talking about 3 directions. These 3 directions would be chosen by Katie, Malu and Fleet themselves. They would determine a clear target only after they set off. Even if Grace and others did not intend to let them go from the beginning and were ready to set an ambush directly, they could not confirm the target area. Then it's confirmed. Ding ding ding. At this moment, a hurried communication request sounded in the conference room. It was a communication from the patrol fleet, so it was directly connected and the image was projected on the big screen. This is Arugaris, the temporary Supreme Commander of the 2nd Fleet. Commander-in-Chief, there is a full jump reaction in the 3 light-year area ahead, 1 large reaction, more than 500 small reactions, and it is still increasing. First-level combat deployment of the entire army. All fleets immediately deploy defense formations, and the commanders of all fleets immediately return to their fleets. Yang Hui's face turned ugly. There was no need to confirm it. This was definitely Grace's group looking for trouble for them. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.